All righty. Good morning, beautiful people, and Happy New Year to all of you. I hope 2025 brings you nothing but health, happiness, wealth, peace of mind, and love from everyone around you. I know I'm excited for what's in store next year for myself and my family. I also want to thank everyone who has listened and supported our podcast. It's been a fun new venture and something I've really enjoyed doing. I also want to thank our sponsors in Slipstream IT, Future Birdies, and Callaway Golf for all their continued support. We've got a bunch of great guests lined up for you to start the new year, but to send you off 2024 in style, I put together a kind of a montage of all of our guests we've had on the last few months. Call it a highlight reel, if you will. It's a fun listen, and if you've gotten any enjoyment out of this podcast, please send it along to other people who may enjoy listening. Obviously, the more people we can reach out with our platform, the better, and it's only going to help us get more guests on the show. Also, if you're taking anything out of our podcast from the mental health side of things and want to help give back, feel free to visit our foundation site at themulliganfoundation.org. That's Mulligan, Mulligan, foundation.org. And leave a little donation back to the foundation. Our donations all go towards creating different platforms that help athletes and juniors acknowledge and manage their mental health awareness. Our team over here at the Mulligan Foundation is trying to use our experiences to help direct others down a positive and productive path in the everyday mental grind that life can throw at you. But in the meantime, sit back, enjoy the start to 2025, and have a blast listening to our collection of guests from 2024. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you soon with another episode of The Uncomfortable Chat.
And even like work, but you have to put the work in. So that's something that I've really tried to work with them on, is that because I had the drive like to want to be the best. And those are the days, like I tell my kids, like, hey, you know what? Today you're about to go to my daughter volleyball. She goes, yeah, I'm not feeling it today. I'm like, you know what? This is the day that champions are made. The days that you're not feeling it, the days that you don't want to be there are the days that regular people go home. Champions say, okay, I'm going to push through it and I'm going to find a way today to be better. Like, how can I get better today on a day when I don't feel good? I don't want to be here. I'm tired, whatever it is. Those are championship days. And so that's what I try and push in the kids. Like, listen, today's a championship day. You got to go do it. And yeah. I'll never make them. But I mean, if you have a lesson, you got to do it. That's what we do. But today's a day that I think that they're at a young age, they're understanding, but that's something that I want them to understand, that not every day is going to be perfect. I had days where I didn't want to get up in the morning and go work out. Are you kidding me? Like, this is the last thing I do, but it's like, man, if I want to go get a Lombardi or do something like that, I got to do it.
But now I want to start the podcast by addressing the elephant in the room. So there are some nasty rumors flying around about you that I want to get your take on.
Okay.
So rumor has it that retirement has been so tough on you financially that you've turned to caddying part-time on the U.S. Kids Golf Tour. Do you care to comment on these rumors?
Yeah, I felt like I've done an amazing job. My caddying duties are up for hire right now because my player is not paying real well. That'd be my son. We were playing a tournament in Myrtle Beach, a drip series, Tar Heel Golf, and he shoots. He goes 600 on the first round, or 400 on the first round. He goes in back-to-back holes. He chips in from the fairway for eagle, or like 100, like 40, 50 yards out. He follows it up with an eagle on a par 5, pars the par 3, and then chips in for birdie on the number 9. I'm like, anybody else want this caddy?
No
Anyone else
kidding.
in this group want the caddy?
He's making it easy on you.
I know. Just yeah. But no, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. It's definitely it tests. He's 11. He's about to be 12 on Friday. He'll be 12 this next week, and it definitely tests you as we have a great relationship. But when you get out there and you're doing the back and forth, it's like, okay, would you like me just to not say anything? Yeah, don't say anything, Dad. And as soon as you don't say something, why don't you tell me something? And I'm like, dude, what do you? And so definitely there's some give and take, some butting of heads. But at the end of the day, I just keep telling him, I don't care what you shoot, how you score. It's how you represent yourself, how you represent your faith, your last name. That's what I care about. I don't care how many birdies or bogeys. I could care less. It's about going out and having fun and representing yourself. And so that's at the end of the day what is most important. But it's hard for an 11-year-old to always think about that. But it's been a lot of fun.
I want to tell our listeners a story that I found fascinating. So I was playing on the PGA Tour in maybe 2017, 16, something like that. And you sent me a text message, said, "Hey, I'm coming down to Bay Hill. I'm going to play in the Pro-Am on Wednesday. Let's play some golf on Tuesday." And I said, "Well, I'm not in the event, but I'll come down." I wasn't getting in any of the tournaments at the time anyway. So we played Alworth on a Tuesday, and I asked you who was caddying for you the next day. And you said, "I don't have somebody. I'm going to go get somebody." And I said, "You know what? They were nice enough to give me a sponsor exemption into the tournament last year. I'll come out. I'll caddy for you." And you agreed, and we went out there to the range, and we hit balls for hours and hours. And I was like, "What time you want to be there?" Tee time's 12:30. You're like 9 o'clock or something ridiculous. I'm like, "You're gonna hit balls that long?" But I mean, I played golf with you the day before, and you were pumping it. You're playing great at Alworth, and then we got to the range. You're hitting it great. You're chipping it great. You're putting it great. And it's finally time to go to the tee, and we go walking across the putting green, and I saw your wife Ashley over by the ropes. I said, "You ready to go, Ashley?" And she goes, "I'm better than he is." I said, "What?" She's like, "I've never seen him like this. He's a nervous mess right now." I said, "No, he's not. I've been with him for the last 2.5 hours. He's fine." She's like, "I'm telling you right now, he's a nervous wreck." So you were signing autographs the whole way to the first tee, and I just walked over there. And ironically enough, Michael Collins, who we just talked about, was over there on the tee waiting for you as well. And Sam Saunders was our pro, and he goes back to his tee. And now I'm just watching you because I'm like, "Am I missing something here?" And you weren't moving, man. I handed you the driver, and you just stood there, and you were looking around. And I remember nudging you, and I go, "Bro, you all right? You good?" And you're like, "I can't feel my freaking legs." Your exact words. "I can't feel my freaking legs." And I was like, "You're joking, right?" "No, dude, I cannot feel my legs." And you got up on the first tee, and you hit a snap hook that might still be going left if that tree wasn't there. And you hadn't hit a ball left in 2 days. And
a little quick on that little release.
I was a little quick. I was blown away that a two-time Super Bowl quarterback, you've been in the hottest spots of all time in the NFL. You were that nervous on the first tee of a Wednesday Pro-Am. Can you kind of explain the nerve, what those nerves felt like, and
Listen,
how it felt to play that day?
football's what I do. That's what God blessed me to be really good at. And so there's no nerves when you get out there. I don't care who's rushing me. I don't care the stage. Like that's the easy part. Getting up and hitting that little white ball. I remember I played in a pro-am. That's Bay Hill. The Honda's not the Bay Hill. That's different. Honda's a different one, right?
Yeah, Honda's the one down in Palm Beach.
Okay, so I played in that one time. And I remember, that's the one where the first hole, like probably not a driver hole because there's water down the left?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm with my buddy and I'm getting ready to go and I'm going to hit like a hybrid or something. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm not hitting driver. Like, who knows where it's going to go? He goes, "Yeah, but have you ever hoselled a driver?" I'm like, "Good point. I'm hitting driver." So,
good point.
But it's like you get over and it's just like, this isn't what I mean, I love golfing. Like I love it and you can do it, but you get out there and it's just a different ball game. And so I mean, I always get nervous, whether it's a pro-am or which I don't do a lot of those, or if I'm playing in like some sort of event, the Crew Cup event, anything like that, where there's just people.
Yep.
And you're just like, man, it's just different. It's not what I do. And so it absolutely makes you nervous. I tried to do a good job of hiding it. Obviously I did a good job of hiding it from my caddy.
You did.
Only my wife knew, but once you got the first tee and there's not as many people around, I'm fine.
Yeah, it was, and I'll give you some credit here. That was one of the wildest rounds of golf I'd ever seen. You make double on the first, you birdie 2, you bogey 3, you birdie 4, 5, 6, you bogeyed 7. Like you didn't make a par till like 8 or 9.
We're gonna make a par today. I don't know.
And I remember you drove 13, which was like a 295-yard carry over water, and you're like, "Yeah, I can get this." And I was like, "It's impossible." And sure enough, you landed on the front edge and kept it on the green, 2-putted. You birdied 6 of the first 13 holes, and I think we're still like 6 over par or something crazy.
Ridiculous. Yeah, that's me.
The one part I definitely want to touch on there with our podcast, obviously being a mental health platform as well, is the speech you gave afterwards. I thought was incredible, and the premise of it was you said you challenged everyone here to say something nice to someone you love. Also say something nice to someone that you don't know. Now, what brought that on to make you want to say that, and how was it received not only with the public but with the other guys in the Korn Ferry?
Yeah. Well, what brought it on was, 2 days before, a day before that, Grayson Murray had taken his own life. which was incredibly sad. Grayson and I were not that close, but certainly in golf, I mean, it's a small, tight community, tight family. We certainly had plenty of practice rounds and, player dining lunches and breakfast together. So it was just kind of a sad day for the game. And then, as most everything kind of, not the show goes on, but the next day you wake up and you play your final round. And I did that Saturday night, a little while after learning he had passed, and stayed up, couldn't sleep that well. I mean, I'm always a pretty good sleeper, but couldn't sleep that well, and was just like allowing myself to think ahead. If I'm fortunate enough, I think I was just tied for the lead. But if I'm fortunate enough to win this tournament, maybe we'll see how it shakes out, but it would be kind of the appropriate time to kind of give some remembrance and say some nice words about Grayson, and then also kind of say some stuff, about kind of maybe the mental health issues and things that folks deal with on a day-to-day basis. We've had this in our family and kind of our family friends with, dealing with suicide, and it sucks. And selfishly, I've been very fortunate to not have to deal with this personally, but it has touched those closest to me, and it has touched the golf community, which we probably never thought it would. So, I mean, again, fortunate, play 5-hour round of golf and win again in another playoff. And having to do the trophy acceptance and thanking all the volunteers 2 weeks in a row. You don't get the microphone first. You get the microphone about fourth. Yeah. And by that time, everybody has already been thanked. So you really don't get to say much. Yeah. Certainly in Kansas City, I said a bit more, was able to thank my wife, her family, my family, friends, everybody for being out. But in Knoxville, they had already nailed everything. So I basically just grabbed the mic and said, thank you to everybody that's already been thanked. It means a lot that you've hosted the event and welcomed me and everybody else to play here. And then that was pretty much the time to say something, and just try to implore everybody to, for lack of a better term, be kind to themselves. Say something nice to somebody you love and something nice to somebody you don't even know. And then, obviously, people have comments on these things, but they were all in a positive manner. I did see, maybe a couple days later that I did, in theory, forget one part, and it is maybe the most important part of that is, if you were to amend it, also say something nice to yourself, about yourself, daily. Because that's something we all get, golfers especially. We all get caught up in our own world, how we're doing, what things are going on, the scores we're shooting. And we certainly can be very, very hard on ourselves, which everybody can be in every line of work. I'm in golf, so I feel like golfers especially are hard on themselves. I mean, after damn near every shot. Because most of the shots you're going to hit are not going to be that successful. So just trying to be nicer to yourself daily is a huge thing. It just felt like the right time. I wasn't doing it certainly for any publicity. I just wanted to say something nice, because also the world we live in nowadays, in roughly a week we're going to have an election. Everybody's going to be mean to each other for no reason about whomever wins. I mean, I truly believe that the more this gets talked about, certainly between two males, it's something that you should be able to tough out and deal with yourself as a male. But it's not gender specific by any means. Everybody struggles all the time. The more that we can just be kinder to one another, I think we can kind of be nicer to one another, be kinder to one another, the better we can make this world on our own. Person by person, little bit by little bit. It doesn't need to be big and dramatic gestures, but, check in on a loved one, say something nice to a loved one, say hello to somebody walking by you on the street. You never know what somebody's going through. The more and more we can kind of take care of one another, the better the world's going to be, and hopefully the happier and more mentally healthy folks would be. Hopefully every day you do at least one of the three. In a perfect day, it would be all three of them.
No, I love the message. I think it is absolutely brilliant, and I think that more people need to realize it. And whether you're standing in line at the grocery store and the woman behind you says, "Hey, I love your shoes," that means something. It's
Perfect.
nice. You shouldn't have to say it. Oh, thank you. That's really nice
Yeah.
of you, or just anything.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't cost.
Yeah,
anything.
the coolest. So I finished. I give the speech, and I go in and shower real quick. I've got my bags packed, and I pulled the car up just right to the front. I'm kind of throwing dirty clothes in my bag, and I had 3 different people come up to me at the car saying, basically, case in point, they have been struggling with something. No one was specific with any of their struggles, but it meant the world to them that in that stage, and I wouldn't call it a big stage. I mean, certainly there were cameras, and then it goes around and filters wherever the things filter all over the internet and everything. But in that stage, they were very thankful that somebody just took the time to, in theory, recognize something that they were going through, even though I don't know the specifics and I'd never met these people, that it is, man, it's okay. It's okay to be not okay. And it's, when you're struggling with something, it's not permanent. These things are not permanent. No matter how much you think they are, there are ways, and there are so many resources, and there are so many people that are able and willing to help. Many more that are willing and able to help than that are not. The world gets a bad rap nowadays, but living in it, I pretty much only experience people that are willing to help. There are certainly some bad apples here and there, but everybody that I come across, fortunate, but everybody that I've come across pretty much every day of my life is willing to help and willing to check on you and willing to, just plainly make you feel better or help you deal with a problem.
Yep.
So yeah, it's be vocal about it. Don't, I guess, try not to run from it, but be vocal. Be willing to seek help, because there are a ton of people that are more than willing and more than capable of helping you through whatever it is, no matter how awful it may seem to you at the time. It is certainly not permanent. It is a temporary thing, and it can be fixed.
No, correct. And I think that everybody that's going through something, and I'll lump myself in here. I mean, a lot of the struggles I was going through. And you think that you're the only one that thinks these thoughts, and you're the only one that's going through this, and nobody would understand. And then all of a sudden you start to realize when you hear somebody else talk about it that, oh my gosh, I have the same problem that they do, or, I'm thinking the same thing they do. And the only way you'll ever know that is to either talk to somebody or have somebody else talk to you. But sitting in silence, you're never going to know that. And it's amazing what just simply talking about certain things can do to relieve some of that stress and anxiety from you. So I love the message. I think
silence
it's
is.
Yeah. There's a reason they say suffering in silence. Yeah. If you're suffering in silence, it's never going to fix itself. So just as easy as it sounds, just talk to somebody. So number 5, I got a scenario for you. So you're in the final group on Saturday at the Waste Management with a 3-footer for par. If you miss it, you'll be tied for the lead going into Sunday, but in the next to last group. If you make it, you've got a 1-shot lead, but we'll play with Joel Damon in the final round and have to hear 250,000 people screaming, "Take it off" for 5 hours. Do you tank the putt on purpose?
No. Because Joel's really good, I'm gonna need a shot on him. You gotta take the shot. I gotta have the shot. And look, I mean, if that scenario plays out, we're gonna we'll have dealt with it for 3 days before that. So maybe by Sunday. And Sunday's usually not as rowdy. There's other things to do. People want to watch football, or they're just tired and they're flying home.
Yep.
We're probably in a pretty good headspace to deal with all that.
Okay.
And that would obviously be a dream scenario to share that day with Joel. And even more of a dream to start one ahead of him. Gives me just that slight, I've just got, percentages-wise, I've got a little bit better chance than he does.
Yep. Fair enough. All right. Side note there, how many bottles do you think were actually on the ground? If I set the over-under at
probably about
if I set the over-under at 1,500.
No, it's got to be less than that. I'd say a couple hundred. Because I think some people just didn't want to get rid of their beers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it felt like a couple thousand.
Yes, it's what it looked like
on
TV.
That quickly turned. Was like, oh, we're having fun. This is wild. This is also very stupid. To like, oh shit, we need to get out of here. This is not safe.
Yep. Now, did you know Joel was taking his shirt off? Now, I know you guys had talked about it and said, hey, I'm going to lift my shirt up or something.
No. I had no
Okay.
idea. I wasn't even planning on doing it myself until the putt dropped in. But good man Joel did not let me. He did not let me die on that hill alone. By the time I went up and grabbed the ball out of the hole and turned around, he had his fully off and obviously doing the whole helicopter. I mean, it was a lot. It will never happen again. I can guarantee you that.
So now Thursday, first round, it's real. I got the bib on, and I'm like, yo, I don't par 5 downhill. He comes over, takes the head cover off the driver. I'm like, yo, come here. Don't hit it in that sand thing right there because I don't know how to rake, okay? And he just looked at me. And I was like, looking at him like, why is he looking at me like that? And, of course, you know where he's going to hit it, right?
Yep.
So it goes right in the bunker, and he slams the club down. And I was like, bro, I just told you, don't hit it in there, man. And he was like, you can't say that. And I was like, now you tell me what to say. So when we got down there, I was like, man, what you going to do? Because it's a washed out bunker. And he was like, I'm going to hit 3-wood in the front greenside bunker and get up and down for birdie. It's a par 5. And I was like, fool, I just told you I don't know how to rake, man. You're going to hit it in 2 bunkers on the first hole. I was like, if you hit it in that front bunker, I'm going to call immigration and tell them you're an illegal alien. You're not even allowed to be here. And he's trying not to laugh. And he gets there. And he's posing as the 3-wood perfect right in the front. He calls his shot right in the front bunker. And he looks at me like with this dumbass smirk on his face. And I put the bag down. Hey, security, this dude's not legal. He's not even supposed to be here. Like, he goes, get your black ass down there and learn how to rake. And then I was laughing, and he's laughing. And then I was like, oh, crap, like, we're not alone. I look over, and the other 2 golfers and their caddies are looking at us like, what in the hell is going on? And that was it, man. And then after we played, other guys were like, hey, man, call me when you got a week off from comedy because I need to remember how to have fun sometime. And it started snowballing. So Jumbo, John Elliott, is there too, and he hears me and Couchy, and he's like, yo, Couch, can I borrow Mike for the week? And Couchy's like, yeah, go ahead. And Jumbo was a stand-up comedy. Like, he loved the fact that I did stand-up. He actually, one time, he was going to go up and do 5 minutes and then chicken out, but that's a different story. It's hilarious how that went down. But Greenville, we're sitting there, and I'm like, all right, man, I'll caddy for you for the week, man. This is going to be fun. So my man, you remember how long he was off the tee back in the day? Well, my man on Thursday makes bogey like out of the first 5 holes with wedge in his hand. So now he's bitching and I'm the worst wedge player in the world. I don't know why I'm wasting my time out here. I suck. And I'm like, this is supposed to be my week off. Like, and I thought we was going to have fun. Like, what is this going on? So we get to the par 5 ninth, and my man hits it driver in the rough and tries to hit 3-wood and pops it up. And it's middle of the fairway, but 100 yards. So I'm like, oh, my gosh, this dude now, the worst wedge player out here. So we get to the ball. I slam the bag down. Bam. And it makes him jump, and I was like, yeah, you suck. And he just looks at me, and I was like, man, bro, you suck. I go, hey, there's a bar like 2 miles down. Maybe you can be pro in darts or try something else. And he just laughs, and he was like, fuck you, and hits it to 2 inches with a wedge. So I'm like, oh, here we go. So now we get to the 10th hole, and he hits driver again, but it's downhill like 430. And I was like, so he hits it, and we get down there, and I was like, why did you hit driver? We got 60 yards left. You know you suck with the wedges. And again, he's like, F you. Hits it to 2 feet. Birdie again. So now we get to the 11th, par 3, 139 yards. And I was like, well, it's got wedge in the name, suck. What are you going to do? And he's now stands, and as soon as he makes contact, he's posing. I'm like, oh, don't go in the hole. Don't go in the hole. And the thing, 2 hops, spins left, hole in 1. We go birdie, and as it goes in the hole, but you know, it's nationwide tour back in the day, so there's like 6 people around the green, or whatever, 6 people. But he's posing, and as it goes in, he looks over at me, and I'm like, I'm the worst wedge player in the world. I don't know why I'm bothering me. And he throws the club laughing and takes off. It was awesome. So yeah, after I told him he sucked, he went birdie, hole in 1.
That sounds about right. You got to get him fired up every now and then, right?
I was every now and then you got it. I couldn't do everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like that's people ask like, why? What is it about caddy I love so much? It's that. It's the psychology of knowing the right thing at the right time to say to the right guy. Like I couldn't have done that if I was caddying for Omar. I could have never done that to Omar. The funniest stressful moment looking back now, and Brendan would probably agree with me. I was caddying for Brendan Pappas, and we were at the John Deere, and we started on the back nine, so 10's a par 5. We made par there, and like we made a bogey at the really difficult par 3. That par 3, I think that's a 12 the par 3.
12.
Yeah, so we made a bogey there, so we're 1 over. It's Thursday, so now we get on 13, which is that short par 4, like 3-wood. And if you remember back in the day, there was a bunker on that left-hand side that had a high side on the like right.
Yep.
So it's left
Still
bunker.
there.
Yeah, okay. So he hits it in that left bunker. And the green is a little elevated.
Mm-hmm.
So now he gets down in that bunker, and like the top of that bunker is over his head, and he's 6'1". So I'm standing off to the side, and I can just barely see the top of the flag. And it's a left hole location. So my man hits it at the flag stick, and it turns over a little bit. And I think it's on the edge of the green, but I can't. So now he hits it in a bunker and snaps. Let me back up. He hits it in the bunker so bad, he snaps his 3-wood. This is Thursday on the 4th hole. We didn't know it at the time, but he had a little sugar deficiency thing, which now got to make more sense that he snapped. And Thursday, we're only 1 over. So now he hits the shot from the left fairway bunker, and as it goes up by the hole, I was like, sit right there. But he looks at me and he goes, where'd that go? And I was like, I think it might be on the fringe, but I'm not sure. And he looks at me and he was like, what do you mean you're not sure? Like, I'm paying you to know where the ball goes up there if I can't. So which then made, I don't know where it came from, but then I snapped. And I'm like, you're 6'1". If you can't see over the fucking bunker, how am I supposed to see where the ball? And now he's now trying not to laugh because he's never seen me snap before. Because I'm now so jacked up because he just broke a 3-wood. I'm trying to hide it so he doesn't get fined, and he's snapping at me. And it gets better. So ball's on the fringe, makes birdie, we're even. But he's still jacked. You remember the reachable par 4? Hits driver down there to the front edge, and he's like, we got to do something. And I'm like, bro, it's Thursday, 5th hole. Chill, man. Chill. It's going to be okay. No, it's not. And he's like, what? So now, he's like, go down there, and let me give you the read. I got it. Okay, all right, cool. So now the other caddies are like, man, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. So now he proceeds to flub. He tries to hit a little chip, flubs it. Again, loses his crap. But what does he do? Makes a 35-footer for the birdie anyway. So now, of course, there's only 12 people following us at Deere. So he makes the birdie. He's yay. But now I've snapped. So one of the only times I've ever wore a belt on the golf course, I lift up my bib and undo my belt, and I start taking my belt off. And he's waving. He turns. He's waving to the crowd. And when he turns back, he sees me, and I'm taking my belt off. And I'm like, and I'm out to him, I'm going to beat your ass right now. And then he does this, and he starts like, now he's trying not to laugh, and he's walking, because the tee box is right behind the green, but he's trying to go around. I'm like, nope, I'm going to beat your ass when we get over there. And now he's laughing, and I'm trying not to laugh too, man. And so Brendan and I, we used to have the wildest time on the golf course. It was crazy. But, I don't know, me and Streels one time at the John Deere, on that long par 4 down the hill where you got to kind of hit across a little ravine thing. Remember that? And the green sloped from front to back, so you couldn't necessarily see. All right, so Streels hit a really nice 7-iron in to that hole. But at the time, nobody knew who he was. So the only people following was his mom and his wife and 2 other people that were with the other guys in the group. So he hit 7-iron right at the flag and must have hit it in there tight because his mom just goes, woo! And he looked at me and he goes, that had to be good. I ain't hear mom scream like that in a while. And they took 2 steps and then realized what he had just said to a stand-up comedian. And before I could take a step to say anything, he turns around and he goes, shut up. Don't say, you better not say one word. Don't say what. And now I'm bust out laughing. But nobody knows why I am on the, like, literally holding the bag. I can't walk because what Strills realized what he just said to me and stuff. And of course, you think I'm gonna let that go, man?
Nope.
We had that. I said that a few more times. Boy, if Mama's
Mhm.
here, I bet she would scream, huh? You hear Mama scream? So, like, there's so many different moments that I've had with
Yep.
all the guys that I've caddied, and they've all been They've all been fun, good moments, man. So it's like, yeah,
That's awesome. On a side note, I do want to say, since this is a quote unquote mental health podcast, to our golf fans out there, if you're walking, following groups on Thursday and you see a guy throwing a temper tantrum, he's got shit going on outside the golf course. I'm going to tell you right now. If he makes it 2 or 3 holes on a Thursday and he's throwing full-blown fits, there's more going on. I promise you. You can't hold your shit together for 3 or 4 holes.
You know, the one thing that nobody gets to talk about, and you can't talk about it on a broadcast. You can't talk about it like when you're doing play-by-play, right? Like, as a caddy, when you come to the golf course, the only person who's going to know how your night and morning was is me. Yeah. Right? Like, people could have watched you Pro-Am or Tuesday's round and be like, yo, this dude can't miss a shot. This dude is on like Donkey Kong. But what they don't see is, yeah, but last night he was on the phone with his girl and she was screaming at him and hollering and she might have like done some, so he ain't in a good, but he on the outside, you don't know that. So it's like, this dude lost his crap on it. Be like, I don't understand. So when guys are like, hey, this guy's going to play well, this guy's going to play well, you'd be like, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but there's no numbers for that. There ain't no like, well, when this guy gets into a fight with his kids or his wife before he comes to the golf course, he normally shoots 68. Be like, oh, really? Okay, well, it was good to know those stats. Like, my analytics show, like, your analytics. Like, we're human beings. And that is so easily lost in broadcast and in what we do that we forget, like, hey, you know, some days when you go to work and you have a crappy day at work because of something that happened at home, you think athletes don't go through that too? And most people forget, be like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, they have lives at home outside of what we see on TV. And it's so easy to forget something like that. And like, it's such an important thing that no one gets to talk about.
I know we've talked about this before, but I'm not sure if you're a big gambler or not, but was winning $200 from me on Steph Curry the easiest money you've ever won?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you lucked out, bro. Mm-hmm. You lucked out.
Mm-hmm.
You can thank Dobby Vanderwalt for taking the hit for you, bro. You are so lucky. And Dobby, he took bro, and I felt bad too, because even he was like, bro, can you put, and I was like, bro, I don't want to tell you, when you say you're going to eat your golf bag, and I tried to warn you, like, if I'm that I did the same thing for him that I did for you, and I was like, dude, help me help you. Like, I don't know why you don't believe me, I don't know why you don't trust me, but when I tell you how good somebody is, like, I'm not the chop at the local muni who's like, yo, I got a guy out here that could be on tour. No, you don't. Right? But when I tell you that, you're like, bruh, Steph ain't gonna do black. He ain't. And I was like, help, bro. I'm trying to tell you. So,
So
that was an easy $200 because, and that was another one. I was like, I don't gotta say it. I'll let SportsCenter go ahead and do its thing for me. Thank you.
And they did. They were super nice about it. So for our listeners, I'll set this one up real quick. So I was playing on the PGA Tour. I don't remember what year this was, but Steph Curry got invited to play in the Korn Ferry event out in the San Francisco area. And I was sitting in my room one night getting ready for Thursday, and I'm watching Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter. And Scotty says, hey, Steph Curry's playing in this web.com event.
I was out there covering it.
Yep. Don't be surprised if he goes out and he can play. Don't be surprised if he goes out and breaks 78 tomorrow.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
I'm on TV, on SVP, and I'm saying, Scott's like, what do you expect? I was like, nobody knows how good Steph's game is. Do not be surprised if he's shooting 73, 74. Like, he's going to be right. He's going to play well. Don't be surprised. And, bruh,
Yeah.
pick it up from there.
Yeah. So I decide for some reason to go on Twitter, and I send SVP a message, and I know Scott a little bit, and I said, hey, SVP, I love you to death, brother. I usually love all your takes, but you're miles off on this one. I said, there isn't a chance in hell this guy breaks 78 tomorrow. And I just let it go at that. And there wasn't too much Twitter backlash, anything like that. And they said, "Oh, same thing. You know, oh, he's outside his comfort zone. He's going to struggle
Just
tomorrow."
got off a plane from China.
Yeah.
Hadn't been playing golf. It was in China. Got off a plane from China.
Yep. So I played my first round wherever I was playing, and I get off the golf course. I go in to grab some lunch, and I grab my phone, and I just look down, and Twitter is just exploded. Like, I've got hundreds of thousands of messages, and I'm like, oh no, this is never a good sign. And
this
sure
must
enough,
be what a 73 looks like when Steph Curry shoots one over. Hello.
Yeah. So I look in, and Steph.
So the smart move would be to like, wow, maybe he's better than I thought. I should probably just give him some credit on that. But no, what did we talk about earlier about I'm just going to go ahead and double down?
Well, I didn't double down with him per se. So yeah, Steph tweets me back personally and says, hell hath frozen over. And I had about,
if Steph breaks 75, hell's freezing over.
Yeah.
And the tweet back was, hell hath frozen over.
Yes. And then I had about 5,000 Twitter bots telling me what a worthless piece of shit I was and how I couldn't break par. I couldn't break an egg on a golf course. And
how you focus on your game? Stop worrying about what other people do.
Exactly. So I lost 100 to you that day. And I told you, we talked on the phone that night, and I said how I was getting killed on Twitter. And I said, oh, fuck it. He had a good day. That's all it was.
And I was
you know
like,
what?
No.
Double or nothing tomorrow. And I truly thought I was like, I'm going to get my money back at least. This is fine. And she shoots 74 again. And I lose a quick 200 because I'm an idiot. So, hey.
And what let you off was the fact that morning on the driving range, I'm with Dowie Vanderwalt. And I was like, hey, man, remember what I told you yesterday? I told you this dude's good. And he was like, he ain't breaking 80 today. Dowie, I just told you how good this dude is. Like, he's been playing golf the same amount of time he's been playing basketball since he was a toddler. Like, man, if he breaks 80, I'll eat my golf bag. You just said that in front of the camera, and I was even like, bruh.
Yeah.
If he breaks 80, I'll eat my golf bag.
Get some ketchup, boy. Get some ketchup, maybe a little relish.
His brother had one little piece of leather. I don't even think he chewed it completely.
I love the photo.
Let you off the hook.
Davi's got his golf bag on a dinner table. He's got a knife and fork sitting over it like this. It was a priceless picture.
Got the name panel taken off and stuff, and he's going to do the whole thing. And everybody was like, bro, we need to know. That little picture is cute, but get to eating, bro.
Yep, exactly. Start chewing. It's going to take a while. Yep. So thank you, Davi. Thank you for Davi for keeping me off SportsCenter a second night. Because SVP got me the first night, and thank God he saved me the second night.
That was an easy $200.
It was, man.
I will say you did learn your lesson. You've never made any wagers with me since then.
Yeah, I'm still that same stupid guy. I'll probably make some bad decisions here at some point. I'll see you on TV covering somebody, and I'm like, yep, here we go, doubling down again on somebody else. On a side note, I was talking to Harold Varner one day, HB3, and we were BS, and he was down in Jupiter doing something. And I said, hey, what do you got going on today? And he's like, I was supposed to play golf with MJ. But then Tiger called and wanted to know if I want to come over and watch football. The Raiders are playing my Panthers. I'm like, you got to pick between MJ and Tiger on whose house you're going to go hang out in? Like, you base it on snacks? Like, who's got better snacks? Like, which golf course we playing? How many shots am I getting? How do you decide that one? He's like, I didn't feel like playing golf anyway, so I just went to Tigers and we sat around the crib and watched football all day.
HV3 is the reason that Tiger pulled out of a golf tournament one time at Liberty National.
Why?
It's HV3's fault. So
do tell.
we were playing at Liberty National. Tiger's in the field. He was not too far removed from his back surgery. So they're going to have a big and here's the best part. It's a Tuesday. There's no fans allowed in. So it's only a couple of members of the media and stuff. And it's Brooks and DJ against Tiger and HV3.
Yoy.
Yeah. That's like, who ain't coming out to walk and check that out? Like, you think there's going to be a little bit of smack talk? Like, you think we're not going to get them a little bit walking around there?
Oh.
But what does HV3 do on the first tee? He was like, hey, Tiger, you ain't hitting it by me today. And Tiger go, oh, for real? And I was like, yo, man, what? And they're only playing 9 holes, but like, come on, man. Come on. You already know. Like, don't do that. This dude's, you said that because you know his back's up. And he was like, yeah, he can't go after it. So Harold, every time with the driver, steps on one. He's like, not getting that one. And every time, Tiger getting 2 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, just barely pitted by him, barely. But you could like, and then Harold's like, I got you on that one. Tiger's like, well, we'll see. Walk up there, and Tiger would give him the courtesy look, and Harold is losing his crap, F-bombing and stuff. And they're playing, but the DJ and Brooks, we were all like, it's so much fun. We're having a great time. Everybody's talking smack. Like, these guys are still practice, but what happens now the next morning? Tiger comes to the course, and he ain't in a good place right now. This dude is not easily walking and getting out the car and whatnot. And then I see him goes in, does a little bit in the locker room, did a little treat, and now he's walking very gingerly back out. And I was like, yo, where you going? And he was like, and gets in the car, and he's gone. And then 2 minutes later, here comes the little release from the tour, blah, blah, and I was like, you mother. And I go find Harold. Yo, this is, and I got him on camera. Yo, you know this is your fault. This is Tiger had to pull out because but like, you're not hitting it by me today. And now this dude is going after it during the practice round and hurts himself a little bit. But he did hit it by Harold every single time. So great. Good to go. HV3. You won that one. Well done, folks.
I love it.
Good one. Thanks, man.
On a side note there, because HV3 is he's a great trash talker. So I met him years ago down here at TPC. And everybody said, hey, we're going to play with Harold Varner tomorrow. Do you know Harold? And I'm like, no, I don't know him at all. But yeah, send him on out. Let's have some fun. And so we just got along great. We just started trash talking right from the first tee, having a blast. This is like the end of January. So he calls me up. It's like February 2nd, February 3rd. Wait, you want to play today? Just me and you. Yeah, sure. Let's go. So just so happened, neither of us were playing much golf, like traveling to play much golf. So we played a ton in February. And I'm just getting drummed. I mean, this guy is driving it down. I mean, he can't miss a driver. Every drive is down the middle of every fairway and bombed. And I'm just losing, I'm losing twice a week, a bunch. And I'm like, damn, I'm getting killed here. And finally, like towards the end of the month, I was like, he's like, what are you playing for? I'm like, am I getting shots this time? Because I'm getting killed. I said, I haven't beat you in like 3 weeks. And he looks at me without breaking stride. He goes, it's my month, bitch. And I go, what? He goes, Black History Month. It's my month, bitch. And I lost it. He goes, you can't beat me in my month. I get 1 month. So, and it just so happened it worked out where we just laughed. We played again later that week. We played a couple more times. Then March 2nd comes around. And I texted him. I was like, HV, I need a round of golf. You want to play tomorrow? He's like, yeah, let's go. I'll meet you on tee. So first tee at Sawgrass, we get up there. And he hits this snipe hook. Like, he hadn't missed a driver in a month and a half. He hits his snipe hook into the first trees at Sawgrass. And I go, it ain't your month anymore, bitch. And he jumps off the tee. He goes, God damn it, I knew you were going to say that, motherfucker. I knew you were going to say that. I was so nervous over that tee ball. I knew that was coming.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was such a good story.
Man, he's the best, dude. Yeah. He is the best.
Love that guy, man. Love
His
that
charity
guy.
work that he does in North Carolina is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
So you've been openly honest about being a very shy child when you were younger. There's one story I'd love for you to elaborate on that I just found fascinating. And I'm sure you know where this is going, but I read that you used to 3-putt the last hole to lose junior golf tournaments on purpose simply because you didn't want to have to give a victory speech in front of others. Now, how many tournaments do you think you actually lost doing this? And thank you for not doing this on the LPGA.
Yeah, my career would not have been very long if I did on the LPGA. I know it's weird when you look back at, you look at the beginning of your career and the things that I did and the things I didn't do. And you're right, I was, and I still am quite shy by nature. I've never been really somebody who, would jump in front of everybody and want to make some noise and be seen and be heard. But, I was, in junior golf in Sweden, they have a little bit of tradition. You have to give some winning remarks, and it's not a big deal, but it was enough for me to not want to do it. I didn't want to be, stand in front of everybody and their parents. So I would miss on purpose coming down the stretch if I felt like I was playing good enough to have a chance to win. And, you mentioned the 3-putt on 18, I've done a few chip in a putt. I've done a few, let's leave the ball in the bunker. And then, so you can imagine how I would feel, especially the car ride home, finishing second or third, it would eat me, no doubt. I spend so much time practicing and I'm very competitive and I love to win. I just didn't want to, do that extra part. So yeah, I don't really know how many, but it certainly stretched it for a season or two. And then eventually I kind of came out of it. But yeah, it's one of the things I've learned later in life is, you got to face your fear. I think we all have fears one way or another or somewhere. And it's funny, in this case, it was this. And I'm glad I didn't do it later in my career. Like I said, my career would have been short. But it's just overcoming, those fears and understanding what you have is good enough. But you can also work on your weaknesses. Growing up, I spent a lot of time on my strengths. And of course, my strengths got stronger and then your weaknesses get weaker. So, but once you mature and you realize, you look at the overall picture of your career, what you want to do in life, you realize that, sometimes you got to dig in and once you do it, it's actually it's like an accomplishment afterwards. It's no competition, but just knowing that you were able to handle a challenge and deal with it and then overcome it, that's quite powerful also.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love the end of that story as well. I can't remember if it was the tournament director or your parents that kind of caught on to what you were doing. So they started to make the runner-up also speak or the third place person speak as well because they knew what you were doing and you figured if you had to talk anyway, you might as well go win.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you realize that, like you said, and at least I was nervous either way, but I got the biggest trophy and then it was worth it.
I love it. That's a heck of a story. I never knew that one before. This is one of my favorite questions, and there's no way this can be true. Is it true that after winning 11 times in 2002, you spent the off season working 8-hour shifts in the Lake Nona kitchen learning more about cooking?
Yes, that is true.
Oh my gosh.
I did Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. I love to cook, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about whatever. Yeah, so I did steak nights, I did fish nights, I did sushi night. I've done all kinds of stuff, and I'm still waiting for my check to come. I do think I get free salad dressing when I go there. If I need to go, I can get free dressing, but that's about it.
That is incredible. I didn't think that was going to be true, and I'm a massive foodie myself. Mm-hmm. I cook every meal in our house. Mm-hmm. I love cooking. I love every bit about it. So that one, I love the question. I had to ask it. So good on you. So you were always known as a ferocious competitor who performed with a business-like approach. Now, that being said, have you ever let your son Will beat you at a putting contest or a 9-hole match?
No, I don't.
Thank you for answering it that way.
Yeah. Do I regret it? Not really either. I told him the day you beat me, you have legitimately won, right? And, yes. If you can't beat me, you're not going to be able to beat a lot of people. So start with me, and then, because I want him to do the right way. And it's just, But I do have to say, I have to focus more now than I used to.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. That's why he's raised my game up, which I'm thankful for.
I love that. No, my wife still gets mad at me when I play my son, and it could be pig on the basketball court, and I can't let him win. I'm sorry. Like it'll mean more to him when he actually beats me for the first time. I'll start out with this. So I read a quote in regards to your teaching style that I'd love for you to elaborate on. The school of psychological thought Rotella has built his golfing philosophy around is the idea of free will, where golfers can choose to be confident, choose to be focused on their process of hitting shots, and choose how to react to adversity. Can you explain this to our listeners, and also how free will can work negatively against you?
Well, I mean, first of all, anybody that I help, they have to agree or believe that as human beings, we have a free will. And a free will means we get to choose how we think about ourselves. We get to choose our dreams. We get to choose our ideas. We get to decide when we want to let go of some dreams and take on others. And what goes with it is you have to take personal responsibility for how you think and react to things that happen to you in life. And you have to hold yourself accountable. So that's how that all fits together. I suppose you could say that free will could cause you to go for things that you end up not getting everything you're chasing. I mean, anytime you go for a dream, which I talk about a lot, there's always the possibility that all of your dreams aren't going to come true. And so you have to be able to deal with that. That's kind of the risk you take when you go for big dreams. The other side of it is just fit into the middle, be normal, be average, be like everybody else. And dreamers kind of go after things that there isn't a great possibility of getting. That's kind of what excites them. But anyways, that's where I'd start.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think a lot of people get lost along the way. You get lost in the day-to-day grind, so to speak, golf specifically, that you just go out there and you work towards a dream. And I think a lot of times you forget the goal in mind. It's just you get stuck in the day-to-day and you forget that this is an incredibly hard thing to achieve, whether it's playing, at the collegiate levels or, dominating the junior levels or even professional golf. So I think it's always important to keep that free will at the front of your mind. I want to give you a quick story from back in 2016. So I was playing on the PGA Tour at the time. I was at the Canadian Open up at Glen Abbey, and I had a good Saturday. I moved up to third place. I was paired with Dustin Johnson, who was world number one at the time, in the next to last group. And I went out there and I was nervous as can be, obviously. To be fully transparent, I didn't want the pairing because it was just going to be a lot of hoopla that I didn't want trying to win my first ever PGA Tour event. And I went through the process of just hitting one shot at a time the entire day. And I just was methodical about it. I'd focus on that next shot at hand, and that's all I worried about. And I made a putt on 15, and I hadn't looked at a leaderboard in about 4 or 5 holes. And I made a putt on 15, about a 30-footer that went in the middle of the hole. And I just remember my first thought was, holy cow, I'm about to do this. I'm about to get my first PGA Tour win. And it's the first time all day that I thought about a result instead of the process at hand. And I had 2 easy par 5s coming up, which I hit perfect drives right down the middle and had, long irons into the par 5s. And I had a lob wedge into the 17th hole at par 4. And I played those holes 2 over par. And I dissected that round 100 different ways. I ended up finishing 5th in the tournament. I lost. And I dissected that round because it was going so flawlessly for the entire day. And I was playing so much better than pretty much everybody there. I got myself tied for the lead with 3 easy holes to go, and I just completely squandered it. But again, looking back, and the only thing I come up with was I went goal-oriented instead of process-oriented. Instead of thinking about the next shot at hand, I started thinking about winning a golf tournament for the first time all day. Can you kind of break down a little bit of that outcome focus versus a process focus? I know that's a big thing of yours.
Well, I mean, I think it's very difficult for the average person who plays golf to understand what it really means to stay in the present moment and stay into the process. And I don't care how good a player is, usually when they make the mistake you just described, most of the time it doesn't work out very well. And that's why you do a lot of preparation in advance, so that I mean, you just get so into, and you train yourself to stay in the present until the round's over. And it's not just in golf, it's in every sport. All anxiety is either in the past or in the future. So, I mean, staying into the process of staying in the moment, which is why we call it the precious present, because it's very precious. And I mean, if you think about it, most people are so curious. They're always trying to figure out whether they're going to win or not win, or what they're going to shoot, or what they might shoot. And it makes it very difficult to play this game. It's partially why it's such an unbelievable game.
Yes.
And it's a fundamental. It's like, when I look back and when we talk about people who've struggled when their career comes to an end or they don't get what they want, I always go back and talk about, well, there are certain fundamentals in life that are very process oriented, have always worked. Like for parents to really emphasize the importance of education. In other words, their kid's in love with golf. The parent better make it like, all I care about is you getting good grades in school and taking really good courses and doing your studies and learning the discipline of compartmentalizing. In other words, there's a time and a place for golf. There's a time and a place for school. There's a time and a place for friends. I mean, that would be one fundamental for parents and for kids. And basically for the parents to say, I don't care how good a golfer you are, if you don't do this academically and behavior-wise and attendance-wise, you're not going to be playing golf. Because it's really easy in today's world. We get so excited about kids who are prodigies or have talent or once we think they have potential. And a lot of parents end up, when they see that, they get more excited than the kid and they want to be the kid's buddy instead of their parent. And you got to remember, you got to be their parent, and it takes some discipline to do that. I think the second thing I'd say, is I think you got to really come to grips with the fact that you got to choose the right friends. So I mean, and again, parents play a role in that. And who do you hang around? And not letting them hang around kids who have certain bad behaviors. And I would say that includes friends who are motivated, kids who are disciplined, kids who have good habits. Like in today's world, not spending a lot of time with friends who are into drinking or into drugs or into just playing computer games all day. And that's partially why education becomes important. And I'm not talking necessarily in today's world about formal education. It might be that you're homeschooled, but are you really teaching your kids the importance of reading or lifelong learning? Because I see some players from Europe I work with who didn't even finish high school, but man, are they into learning. I mean, they read a lot. They're very intelligent. They're very articulate. They're into marketing. They're into finance. I mean, they've learned a lot about other things on their own, or through the game of golf, you get to meet a lot of really successful business people. And are you really sitting down and spending time asking them questions about their career? Or, gee, maybe I could come to your workplace and kind of learn about your job. But all of that becomes a part of it. I think the other word that comes to my mind is parents who help their kids keep sport in perspective. In other words, it's not everything. It's not, in other words, don't let them put all their eggs in one basket. And that's hard to do in an age of specialization. Let's face it, kids are getting college scholarships by their second year in high school. So it means kids are specializing very early, but it doesn't mean you don't have other things in life that are important to you. And that's where compartmentalized learning, there's a time and a place that when you're playing golf, lock in the golf. When it's time to study, be into your study and don't be in class thinking about your golf game. When it's time to socialize, be into socializing. And finding people who have similar values, is a big, big part of it. Because I think that's where you start learning resilience. Like if you're really gifted at golf, it comes pretty easy to you at a very young age. That isn't the best way to learn coping skills. You don't learn a lot of resilience. You don't learn a lot of grit. You don't learn a lot of mental toughness from things that come easy to you. You learn it from things that come really hard to you. Like I remember in my family, my parents made us all play a musical instrument. As a high school student athlete, it wasn't something that really interested me. But for about 11 years, I played the clarinet. And my dad's whole thing was good. It's going to teach you something that you're not really naturally good at. It's going to take a lot of discipline because you're not even that interested in it. And it's going to make you, and so there were a lot of good things when I look back that came from it. And part of it was my parents were very disciplined. And I see that with a lot of families who are disciplined about not letting their kids get involved in drinking at an early age or drugs at an early age or hanging around the wrong kids or just habits. So, I mean, unfortunately, habits end up ruling our lives. And it certainly makes life a lot easier if your parents help you get into good habits early in life. Or, maybe your swing teacher helps you get into really good habits. Because, like a lot of kids have a swing teacher, they start with at an early age, and they really have a great relationship. But it's easy if you're really talented, if you show up late for your lesson, or you don't show up for a lesson, or you're not doing the practice they're asking you to do, they just kind of let it slide because they want to keep you as a student. So, I mean, all of those things have the potential to mess up people who are gifted, but it looks like it's a good thing when you're a young kid and you're getting away with murder, but it ends up costing you later in life. So it's a lot of that. And the reason all this is important is if you get to the age of 26 and you come to grips with the fact that maybe I'm not going to make it big in the game of golf. And it's hard to let go of that dream. But for a lot of people, they have to do that at some point. And that's where all those other behaviors and values and attitudes have prepared you for another life outside of sport. So, I mean, more and more in sports, and it's an interesting thing with this NIL stuff that's going on in college sports. Colleges, because they're paying these kids a lot of money now, they're starting to do a lot of career planning for their athletes starting their freshman year in college that they didn't used to do. So there's a lot more of that going on that hopefully will help. I mean, the NFL is starting to train football players very early in life for life and careers outside of sport, for careers in broadcasting, but whatever else they want to do. But I think the really on the ball athletes today are starting to do internships in the off season with companies and corporations and some other career track that they might be interested in. But I think if you're resilient enough and have a great imagination, which golf can be really good for, that's when you start imagining, what am I going to do with my life if I don't play golf? And is there a side of it? Well, if I want to make it, I got to be single-minded and I got to be locked in on golf and not let anything else. And I think that's ridiculously extreme. You can be a great golfer and have other interests in life. Look at the greatest golfer in history, Jack Nicklaus. I mean, he quit school early, but he had a pretty good sized family, lots of grandkids, started a company, did lots of corporate outings, started designing golf courses. I mean, he started doing other things. He had a lot of things going on, plus big game hunter, big time fisherman, played a lot of tennis. I mean, a lot of other things in life. So, I mean, it's all going back to fundamentals. And probably the one I didn't mention that's pretty big is having a spiritual side to your life. I think that helps an awful lot because it keeps you grounded, keeps it in perspective. But anyways, go ahead.
No, I just wish, believe me, I'm not going to interrupt that. That was, I wish I could bottle that up and give that to every child athlete. I wish I could give that to every parent of every child athlete. That's a big passion of mine, is watching how parents are doing the wrong things by their children now because of, to your point, they see the prodigy and they think, oh my gosh, my son's an incredible 9-year-old golfer. My son's an incredible 13-year-old baseball player, whatever it might be. And they lose sight of the bigger picture. Like, okay, there's a chance he might never play professional sports. There's a chance he might not even play in college, but they don't work on the holistic life while they're doing that, and which leads to bigger problems down the road. I know you're on a tight schedule here. I got 2 quick questions for you, and then I will let you go. But this is probably the most important question I'll ask you today, and it's something I wish more juniors could work on. Now, both golfers, at younger ages and professionally in the amateur ranks, struggle with separating their golf scores and their self-image or self-worth. If you shoot 65, you're a great person. If you shoot 77, you hate yourself and you think you're a terrible human being. How should golfers work to separate the two and understand that their golf scores don't define you as a person?
Well, I would go back to everything we talked about earlier in this broadcast. That's why you have to have more than one identity. If your only identity is your golf score and you live to please other people based on what you shoot, they're going to love you when you shoot this score and disown you when you don't. I mean, they're going to build you up and put you on a pedestal, and then so they can then rip you to shreds. And that's why the more well-rounded your identity is, the easier it is to put life together.
Yeah, I kind of figured we were going to go that way with the answer, but I at least wanted to ask the question because you answered it so eloquently the first time we went through there. One of the things that he taught me, it's funny, I met with him in 2016 at the Players Championship. I had called and said, hey, look, I'd like to get together with you for at least an hour. And so we set aside about 2 hours. We sat in the lunchroom at the TPC Sawgrass in the clubhouse. But I played a practice round that day with Vijay Singh. And Vijay's a friend of mine. He said, what do you got going on the rest of the day? And I said, I got Dr. Bob here at 3:00. I got to go in there and meet with him. And he's like, have you met with him before? I said, no, I have not. He said, get ready to catch the keys. I said, catch the keys? What does that mean? He's like, when you see him, he's going to walk towards you and he's going to throw a pair of keys to you or a set of keys to you. And you're going to reach out, you're going to catch them. And he's going to look at you and he's going to go, wow, how'd you do that? You're like, I don't know. You threw the keys. I caught them. I don't know. And he's like, well, did you think about extending your arm? Because you extended your arm out. Did you think about closing your fingers? Did your eyes naturally move towards her? Did you have to tell your eyes to move towards the keys? No, I just grabbed the keys. You threw keys at me. I just grabbed them. And he's like, then why don't you do that with your golf swing? You spent years of your life trying to figure out, hey, if I extend my arm this way, this is what it does. If I close my fingers, this is what it does. So now it just comes naturally to you. He's like, it's the same thing as a golf swing. You stand on the range and you beat balls and you work on the swing and you take recordings of it and you look at film, you look at numbers, you do all this stuff so that when you get on the golf course, you don't have to think about those things. Subconsciously, your body is used to doing those things already. So just let it happen when you're on the golf course. If you want to work on the driving range, work on the driving range. But when it's time to play golf, play golf. Don't play golf swing. And it's remarkable to think about. And I've done that in my day-to-day life with my kids as well. When we start talking about subconscious, because I know subconscious is a big word for kids and they don't understand a lot of how it works. But I was trying to explain to my son that, when you go through pitching practice for baseball, you work with your coaches, you work on practice drills, you work, during team practices, you warm up before games, and now it's time to go out there and just let it happen. And when he wasn't sure what subconscious meant, I said, look, how do you brush your teeth? Do you work on holding a toothbrush a certain way? Do you have to think about which teeth you're scrubbing at a time? No, you just grab toothpaste, put it on there, you scrub your teeth all around because your body's used to doing it. And it's the same thing with pitching. Get out there. You've already done your practice. You've already done, stick to your fundamentals, but just let it happen. And Dr. Bob's teachings are based a lot on that stuff. And it's so simple to think about, but people just don't think about it that way. They think they get on they work on the driving ranges, then they go out on the golf course and they think golf swing the entire time. Okay, I got to get my hands here. I got to get the club this way. I got to lay it off a little flatter. I got to, keep my chest down, whatever it might be. There's 1,000 different thoughts and they don't need to be there, to just work on it off the golf course. But when you get on the golf course, it's time to play golf, not golf swing. So there's my little tidbits for you. Hope they help a little bit. They're not going to compare to what Dr. Bob was teaching there. But thanks for listening. It was a great pod. For better, for worse, PGA Tour players, Korn Ferry Tour players, whoever it might be, we judge our self-worth by our scores that we shoot.
Yeah.
And that's a horrific thing to do. Plain and simple. It's one of the worst things you can do is base who you are as a person by the scores you shoot on a golf course. It doesn't seem to make sense, but that's just how we're kind of wired. Do you have anything that you would do differently now, looking back on your career, as far as the mental health side? And is there anything that the tour could be doing that you feel could be beneficial for the players?
Yeah. I think camaraderie out on tour, and both Korn Ferry Tour now and the PGA Tour is a bit of a lost art. I found myself to be a lot happier, and there was more camaraderie when I was playing on the Korn Ferry Tour versus the PGA Tour. It's a very selfish career, quite honestly. Guys develop their own, especially nowadays. Guys develop their own teams. They've got, like you said, they've got managers, they've got swing coaches, they've got their support team, which sometimes they're there and sometimes they can go and do dinners with them. But a lot of time they're alone. And I think there's just not enough of guys getting down with a round of golf and getting out there and going to dinners with each other and hanging out after. It's you go to the course, you go to the gym, you sit alone in your hotel room. Nowadays guys are, doing Uber Eats or, getting food delivered to their room. Yep. And maybe they'll go sit and have dinner by themselves. And it's a vicious cycle because it's easy. It's easy to just say, okay, well, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm going to go grab some dinner. I'm going to go sit in the hotel room. I'll scroll through Twitter or Instagram or whatever it is you're on and eat your dinner and not really have any communication with anyone out there. And it sounds okay, but then it's not. Sure. And you really are creating a mentality for yourself of I'm just alone out here and I don't have a support system and I don't have any friends. And when you've got 10 guys that all get along and should be hanging out together, but they're all doing the same thing and they're all going back and being alone. And then they think they don't really have anybody out there that they hang out with. They don't have friends. And it's not that they do, it's more that you've created this mentality that you don't have a group of guys that you could hang out with out there. So I think they've got to have a better way of creating that camaraderie, bringing players and caddies and guys together. And I will say, on a positive note, there was a bit of a shift this year after what happened with Grayson, which I think it hit a lot of us really hard, and it hit home for a lot of us because we know Grayson, we played with him, we spent time with him, and it just hit differently when one of your peers, one of your friends, that happens to. And I noticed a shift in just the way guys looked at each other, the way guys spoke to each other. We walk past each other in the locker room or on the range and it's the same head nod. It's the same, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, how you doing? And it's this monotonous, I don't really care how you're doing. I'm just saying hi. Yep. But I think guys started genuinely asking, hey, how are you doing? And I think that's got to be the first step is don't just say hey to somebody just to say it. Go talk to them, go engage, ask them what they've been up to, get together. Let's grab dinner this week, but actually do it and follow through. And the more guys can interact with each other, because that's the thing about golf. It's the most individual sport out there. There's no team dinners. The tour's not setting up group dinners and things like that. And I think that would be a great step in the right direction is providing more opportunity for players to get together and have a meal during the week of a tournament. And it would spark a lot of new friendships and new relationships and build that camaraderie that's incredibly important just for human beings. It's not just about golfers. It's for humans. Like, happiness is based on relationships. The more good, meaningful relationships you have, the happier and healthier your brain is. And that's what we need to do. And I think in terms of the mental health resources out there, having a hotline that you can call is a step. But I think having boots on the ground and having people out there that you can actually engage with and like you said, it's like having a therapist, having someone that you can sit and talk to. Yep. And really express your feelings with and be honest about what you're saying and looking at them in the face is a lot different than whether it's a Zoom call or whether it's a phone call to a person that you don't really know. That can be helpful, but sitting there and genuinely engaging with someone like you who has been through it and can speak to what an individual is going through, that's where it's really going to make a difference for people.
So now we're going to get into a couple of fun stories for you and I that a lot of people probably don't know, and they like to hear some stuff from inside the ropes. So
sure.
First one, I assume you probably know where I'm going with this one. But in 2016, we're both playing we had to go back to the Corn Ferry Tour Q School to try to get our PGA Tour cards back. You were living in Atlantic Beach. I live here in Jacksonville. We played a ton of golf at Atlantic Beach together, and that's where the site of the final tournament was. Coming into the last tournament, you're 25th on the money list. I think I was 24th, or maybe it was 23rd and 24th. We're right on the bubble.
Yeah.
Top 25 get their tour cards at the end of the week. We're playing our home course. We get paired together. You were way more confident than I was. I was a nervous wreck, figuring there's all these expectations. Everybody assumes we're going to get through. And I just remember walking to the first tee, or the 10th tee, I guess, for our round. And you're standing up there, all confident as can be. And I walk over to shake your hand, you say good morning. And you just look at me and you say, what was it? You remember?
Are we doing the usual today?
Yep. You just looked at me and you said usual. And I started smiling. It broke the ice completely. It calmed me down. Now, for people that don't know what the usual is, Sam and I would play once, twice a week. And we would try to set up bets on the first hole. And it was just the usual. So if you went bogey free, the other guy owed you $50. If you shot 65 or better, the other guy owed you $50. So that was just the standard bet. And if we played any team games or anything on top of that, so be it. But we would just say usual.
Yeah, that was our individual bet every time we played.
So Sam hits me with that on the first tee of one of the biggest rounds of my life, and completely broke the ice. And the night before, it's a funny side story. I don't even know if you know this, but my wife and I were talking, and she's like, how's the pairing normally if you're paired with friends, like good friends? Does that bother you? Is it harder? And I was like, no, honestly, honey, it's the only time it's tough is if one guy gets off to a quick start and one guy doesn't. Because then you start thinking about the other person and like how they're handling things. And I just remember you ripped one down the middle on 10, hit this high towering 3-wood onto the green. You birdied 10, you birdied 11, you birdied 12. And I walked to 13 tee going, oh my God, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I told my wife about I'm the one that's going to shoot 81 today.
Oh God.
And luckily I birdied 13 and 14 to calm myself down. But, fast forward through the round, we both caught fire. We were playing great. We were paired with Ryo Ishikawa, who still
also made a ton of birdies that day. Yep.
8 birdies and shot even par.
That was
it 2 bogeys, a double, and a quad, if I remember. It's funny. I can't remember the last tournament I played, but I can remember this tournament.
Yeah, that day was pretty memorable, I guess.
Yes. So needless to say, I shot 62 that day, and I lost by 3. So
yeah.
Sammy makes the, you played great. You played really, really well. You made the bogey on 15, but then you came back with a bunch of birdies coming in. You birdied, I think, the last 7.
Yeah, I think so. Last 7. Yeah.
To shoot the magical number of 59. And I just remember I walked over to you after you made the putt. Everybody's going crazy. I shook your hand and I said, great playing today. You still owe me $50.
Yeah.
And your reaction was like, no, oh my God, I do.
Yeah, you're 62. You're bogey-free 62. Just so boring, by the way. I mean, come on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just plotting it along, hitting it down the middle, hitting greens, putting like you putt. I mean, it was obnoxious. I made it a little bit more interesting, and still lost $50 too. I've never been so happy to hand $50 to somebody. That was the coolest scene. I mean, there were Pete's turn. I mean, there were a bunch of people up there. Yep. It was probably a highlight of my career, honestly, just that feeling in that moment. That was cool. And then have to look you in the face and watch you were so excited to say that.
I was too. It was phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, not too often I lose by 3. You shoot 59 and I win money.
Yeah.
It did take you a few weeks to pay.
Oh man, did it really?
And I had to sign, I think, about 50 scorecards.
That's right.
It had to be, one had to go here, one had to go there. So I had to stay after the round. But I will give you, I will say thank you because I didn't have to do one interview after I was done after being in second place shooting 62. I was able to get in my car and drive home.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Well, your signed scorecard hangs proudly in my basement on the wall. So I love that your signature is always going to be there.
I'm still trying to get the one that they have hanging in Atlantic Beach. I want them to put the $50 in there as well. That
would be nice.
Just so that everybody knows. I need you to sign that and put that in there as well.
I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the greatest days of golf I've ever been a part of. It was, there were just birdies flying everywhere. I think we made 30 birdies between the 3 of us, something like that in that day. It was insane, but it was so much fun as well. And it's one thing to be playing great golf, but it's another to have, to get on that run like you and I both did with one of your great friends. And
yeah, I was going to say, to be able to be playing in any tournament with one of your good buddies that you play. I mean, we played a lot of golf together when we lived there. So, to be able to play in a tournament that matters and then have a special day like that, that's why we'll remember that day forever, because it's, there's competition and there's, I played well here, but then as you look back on a career, it's the special days with your friends out there that you remember the most.
Yeah. And luckily for both of us, you finished, I think, second that week. I was 20th or something like that, but we both got our PGA Tour. Excuse me. We both got our PGA Tour cards, and that was the goal for the week. And it just turned out to be a magical week, like you said. So
really fun.
In 2018, we're both playing on the PGA Tour, and we were playing quite a few practice rounds together. So we were lucky enough, or I guess I was lucky enough. You were starting to play with Jason Bone and Carl Pedersen quite a bit. And
my favorite year on tour because of this grouping. Yeah.
Yes. And I can't remember how it happened, but you called me at Greenbrier and said, look, I need a partner tomorrow. We got Boney and Carl. You want to go? I was like, heck yes. So this is going to be, and those were some of my favorite rounds of all time, because those two are just absolute characters. Yeah.
Well, and we had a regular game though. That's the thing. Like, of all of the times of time on tour, practice rounds are miserable out there. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and let the whole world know that watches this. Practice rounds on the PGA Tour are one of my least favorite things in the world. They're just a bunch of guys out there by themselves. Occasionally you go out and play and you just hit shots and you chip and you putt. And it's just, for me, it was almost hurtful, just a regular practice round. But, Bone and Carl, they invited us into their world, and they had the regular Tuesday game. And it was kind of similar to our game, but it was, we had a bogey free bet. And then there was typically a Nassau, but the bogey free part, and I'll let you go on this, because that was where it really got fun with those guys.
Yeah. So I got to set it up with Greenbrier first. So Sam and I were obviously on a team against those two. And it was $100 if the guy went bogey free. Everybody in the group, even his teammate, had to pay him. Right. So we go play Greenbrier, and Carl shoots Boney shoots 62 on us at Greenbrier in the practice round. So we all owed him, $100. He makes 300. Then the team bets, they cleaned us up there too. So of course we set up the rematch for next week in Canada. Mm-hmm. We're going back to Glen Abbey, where I may have had a bit of a bunker incident a couple of years, or the year before. But we don't need to talk about that. This is a positive podcast. But anyway, we have a great little match going. I think there's 4 bets going into 18. I'm bogey free. I think I'm 7 under on the day. And we get to 18, the famous par 5, where Tiger hit the 6-iron out of the bunker. And so we go up there, and I'm in like the left side of the fairway. Everybody just hits good drives.
Oh my gosh, I remember this. Yeah.
You're my teammate. You rinse it. And then Boney steps up going for the green. He rinses it. So now it's up to Carl, and Carl knocks it on the green in 2. And needless to say, I wasn't comfortable hitting that second shot, and I was struggling with the fairway woods at that point. And it was like a perfect little 5-wood for me, but I was just afraid if I miss this at all, it's in the water, and I cost myself $300.
230 to the front, the Tour Pro's laying up.
Yep. So I just kept looking at it. I'm like, you sure about this number, Zoo? And he's like, yep, I'm sure. And I go, am I really going to do this? He's like, oh, yeah, you got to do this. So I just remember I grabbed the 8-iron out of the bag, and I chipped it down the fairway just short of the water. And I look over, and Boney's like this, arms crossed, just staring at me, shaking his head like this, like the disapproving father look, right? And I was like, Boney, I don't care. I don't even care right now. I'm not actually hitting that shot.
Was a more courageous play to lay up than it ever would have been to go for it, because you knew you were never going to hear the end of that.
Oh, I know. Ever. So I wedged it on the green. I ended up making the putt. You and I win the team bets a little bit. And I don't remember what I was a little delayed. Everybody was going to go in. We're going to have lunch together, right? So I was like 5 minutes behind you guys for some reason. And I go walking into the lunchroom, and Boney has told the entire lunchroom about what I just did. And
quietly, he's such a soft talker.
Oh my God. Yeah. He's that high pitch. Like, oh my God, we just laid it up. He had 205 to the front edge, I think. I don't know. But yeah, the entire lunchroom knew by the time I got in there that I laid the thing up. And so let's flash forward to, I think it was Thursday morning. I go to my locker to get ready for my round. And I go to unlock or open my locker door and it's locked for some reason. They don't lock them there.
Yeah.
What's going on? So I asked the locker room attendant, you mind unlocking this for me? Yeah, no problem. So he kind of gives me a little smirk too when he's doing it. So I open my locker up and there's a hanger in there and there's a pair of lace pink women's panties that are about size 46, right? I mean, these things are enormous. They would cover a Volkswagen. And they're just hanging in my locker, and I lost it. I fell down laughing so hard. And I walk upstairs, and sure enough, Boney's up there. I said, "Boney, you in my locker this morning?" No idea what you're talking about. And I was like, well played, sir.
Yeah, you earned him. He was proud of that. So
the best part of it was he told me that he and Carl actually left the practice round. They both went to like a Marshall's together. They're wandering through the women's lingerie section, and they'd be 20 yards apart, and hey, Boney, look at these things. How these work? And it was phenomenal. But the second part of that where you come into play again is they were in my golf bag forever because I was going to try to get somebody back, and I forgot they were in there. And later on,
remember this now. Yeah,
we're in Ohio State playing the Korn Ferry Tour playoffs, and I see him in my golf bag, and I make my caddy walk over and distract you and your caddy. So I take your driver head cover, I pull it off, and I put these things up in your driver head cover and put it back on your driver. So now you're going to go to the first tee, and you're going to pull that thing off the hit driver, and a pair of large-ass pink drawers are about to fall off right on the tee in front of the whole crowd. And I'll be honest, I had tears rolling down my face. I'm waiting for it. I'm like this, watching. You grab the head cover, pull it off, hit your tee shot. They got stuck up in there.
They just stayed there. Yeah.
And I forgot to bring it up later in the round. Those things were in your head cover for 3 weeks before I can't remember who was caddying for you at the time. Probably Spencer.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, Spencer, did you check and find anything? He's like, dude, we found him like 2.5 weeks later. I just happened to reach up in there. I saw him and we threw him out. But, oh, my God, that was the prank that didn't go through that
it was a big fail for you, but, it was
that happened.
Those practice rounds with Bone and Carl were the best. I mean, that was that camaraderie that we're talking about, and it made for me my best year on tour by far, both enjoyment and the way I played, just because there was something to look forward to every week outside of just the tournament, outside of competition.
You talk about good for your mental health. Go play a practice round with those two, and my God, it was
so much fun. It was a smile on your face the whole day.
Exactly. So now watching the video, we did notice that in the video you don't have the normal golfer tan lines.
Yeah.
Is that because you think you still live in Florida and refuse to wear a shirt in Colorado? And secondly, wouldn't wearing a shirt help cover up the body odor from your new homemade deodorant?
No. That's also a fair question. No, listen, I live in Colorado and I absolutely love it. Great state, but I'm a proud Florida man, and I need the neighbors to know that. So yeah, I'm constantly just, but hey, vitamin D, man, it's one of the best supplements on planet Earth. It's what gives us life. So yeah, I'm out there shirtless as much as I possibly can now. And it's nice to not have the golfer's tan. It feels good. Yeah.
That's good. You want to elaborate on the deodorant at all?
Well, yeah, currently I'm using one. It's not homemade. It's not actually the Van Man. Check out the Van Man company. Guy's great. Absolutely love his products. It's like a magnesium and coconut paste that you just stick. Hey, it works. You got to be careful about what you're spreading on your armpits.
Let's go, Van Man. I love it. If 37-year-old Sam Saunders could go back and tell 22-year-old Sam Saunders the things that would help him have a long and successful career, what would he tell him?
Make as many friends as you can. Keep up with your relationships. Keep in touch with people. Be nice, which I'd like to think I did an okay job of that. Just be nice to everybody. It's so nice. It's so easy to. It's just so easy to be nice to people when you're doing this career, and to take the time to treat people the right way. It's a lot of work to be an asshole. It really is, and you don't need to be. It's way cooler to be nice, and being good at golf doesn't require the latter. So that would be kind of my number one thing I tell 22-year-old Sam. But gosh, I mean, take care of yourself. I think that's, find a good routine, both physically and mental. You have to, because the one thing I figured out at that age, or as I got a little bit older, is at some point it's going to end for everybody. Your golf career, no matter how good you are, it's going to come to an end. And make sure that you're doing the things in life, that you have friends and family and a support system that you want to be around when it's over, because there's a long life. Life's long, and there's all kinds of challenges, and you need people around you. And if you don't, it's going to be tough.
Perfect answer, Sammy. I couldn't agree more. And that's one of my my big things right now, is to make sure your life off the golf course is holistic and round, so that if I pulled that part of your life away, are you still happy? Are you content with who you are? Are you content with the people around you? And so that was a great answer. Great answer.
Well, I'd just like to plug that I'm very fortunate. I have an amazing wife and two amazing boys, and I had a very average professional golf career, but I would not trade one thing in the world. I wouldn't trade careers or lives for any player out there, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful that I made friends like you along the way. That's it's cool, and even though there's gaps in time where we may not talk to each other for a year, the real friendships are the one where you can pick back up right where you left off. And then it makes you realize now we keep in touch with each other a lot better, because, sometimes you think you're too busy in life to keep up with your friends. And there's nothing more important than keeping the relationships that you have.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Well, Sammy, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I wish you nothing but the best with your new television career and with the family businesses. And I look forward to our next round together soon.
Yep, me too, Weedy. We'll do the usual.
The usual. I love it, baby.
All right.
Best of luck to you, man. And I'll be watching you on TV this week. Thanks again, Sammy.
You bet. See you soon.
Right. Take care, bud.
Bye.
So Solheim Cup matches. You played in 4 and were an assistant captain in 2. I assume you're a fan favorite in the team room and a nightmare to play against. How were those weeks for you, and what I would give to have a camera in one of your team rooms?
Yeah, I mean, look, my personality is so against the grain in golf because I'm such a team player. Like, I was meant to play team sports through and through. I played team sports all growing up. And so, listen, every 2 years when Solheim's coming up, I'm desperate to get on that team. If I'm not on that team, I desperately want to be part of that team. And so I've been fortunate to be part of a few now. And, my role has definitely shifted over the years. But I mean, it's just, it's seriously like one of the best weeks of my life. Like the one that we just had, a couple of weeks ago, we lost, but one of the best weeks of my life. Like, I just feel like the girls really come out of their shell, their personalities. There's like a strength inside them that even they didn't know, like in a team setting. And it's, the camaraderie, the banter, like you can just see everybody getting more comfortable throughout the week. And that's just what I absolutely love. And just everyone just coming together and just being a unit just for 1 week every 2 years. And absolutely try and destroy the Americans is just a thing of beauty. And it's just, it literally builds friendships for life, and just the atmosphere. And even on the American side, like just the actual competition itself is just, electric. And we all have a few beers at the end of the week. The Americans usually come in our team room because we obviously have the better party, even if they win. So they usually all kind of overflood our team room, and it's just celebrating, honestly, just an amazing showcase of, women's golf. And it's just an unbelievable week, something I'm very passionate about, and hopefully I'm a part of many, many more.
Yep. I think you hit it on the head with one word there, passion. I think those weeks are incredible to watch, just watching the passion, but the players that, rallying around each other as a team. I'm assuming you had a bunch of good partnerships out there. Did anybody stand out in particular other than Leona Maguire?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been very fortunate. I was, kind of paired with Laura in my rookie one, and then, which obviously is a dream come true. Good friend of mine now, but was an absolute icon growing up.
Yep.
Was the reason I took up the game of golf. Then me and Carlotta Sigando, again, an amazing friend of mine, one of my best friends, the passion. And then I got put with Leona, who absolutely hated me at the start of the week. I think she pretty much hated me up until about the 8th hole on the Friday morning. So,
I may have been told to ask you that.
Yeah, I know. She did hate me. I remember. So we, Katrina Matthew obviously is like, Mel, you're going to play with Leona, and I was like, wait, this is a joke. I was like, she hates me. She's like, no, I need you to do this role, and I was like, oh God, okay. So we're playing a practice round, and she's obviously not said a word to me. So, and I'm trying my hardest, and I just went, "Look, you don't like me, do you?" She's like, "No," and I was like, "Is there anything I can do for you not to hate me as much as you do?" She was like, "Yeah, basically just stay out of my way." And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to do that." I said, "Just give me like this afternoon." I said, "I'm going to shoot you some like banter, and I'm going to shoot you some of this." And she was like, "Well, yeah, whatever." Anyway, by the end of the day, she actually sat next to me at dinner. So I thought, well, this is progress. And then, then we just absolutely killed it for like 2 days and just became like really good friends randomly. But yeah, she's very quiet. She's very opposite of me, very quiet, very kind of calm. She's just very thoughtful in what she says, not like a jabbermouth like me. Just an all-round, honestly, just top girl and fierce as hell competitor. I mean, she's we call her the Lion for a reason. And she's just, she's a fantastic girl, and obviously the spine of Solheim Cup. And she's just a great person to be on our team. So we're very, very grateful that she's on our team. You're gonna ask something else, aren't you?
Nope. Your boy Georgie had me ask you that one. So I talked to Jorge this morning, and he's like, "Yep, you need to ask her about this pairing. It was an interesting setup, to say the least."
Oh, good. No, I mean, when I say she hated me, I mean her sister hated me as well. Her sister never spoke to me. She's like, "I hate you as well." I was like, "Cool." That's like, cheers.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, they warmed up to me in the end. They warmed up to me.
Yep. Number 2, what is more nerve-wracking, the first tee of a Solheim Cup or sharing a studio with Brandel Chambly?
Definitely sharing a studio with Brandel. Yeah. Definitely. My first time on set with him, I was pretty nervous. I didn't really, obviously I watched him on TV, and then I was like, oh, I don't know how he's going to react with me, like a bit of a newbie, don't know what I'm doing. But we actually hit it off. Great guy. Despite people's opinions, I will stick up for the guy. I think he's been fantastic with me. Could not have been nicer. Taught me a lot, and one of the hardest working guys I've ever met. So,
yep.
Yeah, but definitely more nerve-wracking working with him the first time.
I heard you were a little nervous there, and then you said something during a commercial break that got him going and kind of broke the tension.
Yeah,
and
I said a really inappropriate story about someone, and he just was like, "You said what?" And so yeah, that's kind of what broke the ice.
Yep, there's the real Mel right there. I'm actually going to swap out number 4 here and ask you a very common question that we ask a lot of golfers. Have you ever sent your caddy to China and then decided not to go to the tournament?
Okay, I don't know who you got that from. You got that from Drew, didn't you?
No, definitely not.
Okay, luckily he was a good friend of mine. I did accidentally tell him, I accidentally forgot to tell him that I'd withdrawn from the event, and he texted me on like the Tuesday, and he's like, "Mate, I'm on the range, where are you?" And I was like, "I'm at home." And he's like, "Well, I'm in Mission Hills, China." So, and I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, I knew I forgot to do something. But luckily I got him a bag out there, sorted it out. But yeah, not a great move for me.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
you sent your caddy to China and didn't show.
And luckily he's still one of my best friends. But yeah, it was bad. But I did get him a job. He actually finished top 10 that week. So he probably made more money than caddying for me anyway.
Oh, there you go.
So it worked out.
Wow. Very nicely done.
Yeah.
All righty. So your home course is obviously Atlantic Beach Country Club here in Atlanta Beach, Florida, a place near and dear to my heart as well. So you have a best ball match there where the winner gets $1 million. Okay. Your opponent, who you get to pick, is either going to be Brooks Koepka or Miles Russell. Who are you playing?
Oh. Okay, do you want me to be honest? I know that Brooks does not like focus that much on games like that, whereas Miles would just probably shoot about 12 under. So just for the crack, I'd have to choose Miles. Just for the crack. I would just choose Miles because I know that he knows that course so well. He knows every read on that golf course. He's out there every single day. I'm like, I'd probably bank Miles to shoot lower than Brooks, to be honest.
Yep, that's why I made it at Atlantic Beach. So at least make that one a question for you and make you think about it a little bit. Now, you've said in other interviews that you didn't see the success that you wanted on the PGA Tour immediately because you may have gotten a bit distracted with all the other opportunities and the life that comes out there. I think this is a huge thing for a lot of the young guys now that are, they're not used to being out there. It was one thing, but then also all the perks that come with it, with the courtesy cars and the hotels and the pro-ams and the parties at night. And I mean, just this stuff that comes along with having a PGA Tour card. How do you think you would handle that balance now, knowing what you know?
Yeah, a lot different. There's no doubt. I'll be totally honest. Like, growing up, I was a shy guy in high school. I wasn't chasing women around and all that. And even in college, like I was all about golf all day, every day. And when the run for me happened of playing so well in 07 and then winning twice on the Korn Ferry Tour, I was like, man, golf's pretty easy. Like, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to roll it into winning a couple times a year and just have this great long career on the PGA Tour, be one of the best players in the world. And then I got out there and the money's different. Like you said, the cars, there's a lot more things to do at night. You get a lot more attention from other things. And yeah, it's different. It's definitely was a learning experience. It took me several years to get comfortable out on the PGA Tour. And when you're a young kid and you're making good money and living that awesome life of traveling around on the PGA Tour, playing in front of thousands of people every single day, it's awesome. There's no doubt about it. But you got to learn how to balance it. And I just didn't do that very well early on. And I don't think I worked near as hard as I did, leading up to professional golf and even that first year on the Korn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Like you said, it's one thing you go there and not only do you want to stay on the range a little bit longer and you want to see, because there's club reps everywhere. They're just handing you things to try. There's people all around watching you practice, watching you putt, and you want to sign autographs. You want to do all these things. And then at night, it's like, oh, by the way, Darius Rucker's playing a Pro-Am party. You guys can go and have all the food and drinks you want, too. And it's like, instead of going home, relaxing, getting yourself ready for the next day, then you're out late doing that stuff. And, I did a lot of that stuff my first year on tour as well. And it's like, I'm not going to turn these down. Like, I'll sleep at some point, but
yeah,
didn't work out so well. But yeah, it's same stuff. It's like, it's hard to turn down those opportunities.
It's out there. I mean, look, the most important days of a PGA Tour event are Saturday and Sunday. The most fun nights are Friday and Saturday. Like, you got to choose.
Yep.
And sometimes we all don't make the best decisions.
That was one of the dangerous spots I always found myself in, was about being 60th or 65th going into a Sunday. Sunday was not going to go well. I just remember I showed up at Quail Hollow the one year and twosomes on Sunday, and we were like third group off, and I was with Rich Beam. And Rich looked at me on the first hole, and he goes, just to let you know, I have a 1:30 flight. I am going to make it, so let's go.
Yep, baby, one of the best.
Q School's going on this week. And they'll be giving away 5 PGA Tour cards and a bunch of Korn Ferry Tour cards. Now, understanding the game the way that you do, is there a better tournament to watch all year than Q School? And what are your thoughts on the pathway to get to the tour now?
No, so I absolutely just hate that Q School's not the way it used to be.
Yes.
If you're a sicko like me and a bunch of my friends, like that Monday, the final round, the 6th round, whoever made it 6 rounds is an asshole. I'm sorry. Like, why you had to just torture us for 6 days, because we've all gone through it. But it's some of the best TV in golf all year.
Yes.
I love that a guy could go. I mean, out here at Whisper Rock, we have so many aspiring professionals that are caddies. Like, you can go from caddying at Whisper Rock to playing on the PGA Tour. You can go from, being a valet guy to being on the PGA Tour. Those stories don't happen anymore. And I was against it when I get it for the Korn Ferry Tour. Like, if they wanted to stick around and put up all the money they do, like, they wanted to be the pathway. And I love what they've done. I think guys that spend a year on the Korn Ferry Tour are much more prepared than the guys that just make it through Q School. There's no doubt. You're learning how to be a professional.
Yep.
Learning how to travel, be on your own, all that. But I think it's very unfortunate. I'm glad they added the 5 cards back. I don't think it's enough. I just look. I was one of those guys. I double bogeyed the last hole at Palm Springs to think I missed my PGA Tour card, and because Roberto Castro and I believe Mark Anderson already had their card but went to improve their number, finished ahead of me, I moved up to 25th and got my card. Like, I honestly thought in 2000, that was the winter of 2011, I was like, I'm done. Like that, I was just gut wrenched. I was bawling and scoring. And then I think Brad Fable, he's like, hey, you're good. You're going to finish T25. And I mean, it was wild. So
I remember that year, actually. I think I was there as well.
I've been that guy that was the one people were watching coming down the stretch because he's the one who could puke it off. Yep. And I just love watching guys going out there and birdieing the last 3 to get a PGA Tour card. And then you see in the interviews how much it means to them. I just love it. I wish we'd bring it back. I thought it was really cool. But hey, they don't really care about the little people anymore.
Nope.
It's all about the stars. That's what drives your game. That's what makes the money.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. I get asked all the time, what was the most nervous you've ever been on a golf course? And without a doubt, it was Q School. 2006, I went to Palm Springs as well, and I shot 75, 71, 73, something like that. I was in 120th place or something like that. I was just trying to get a full Korn Ferry Tour card. And then I went 65, 65, and was in 22nd. And I just remember I went to sleep. I fell asleep pretty early. I woke up at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and I just rolled around the rest of the night because I'm like, holy shit, there's a chance I could get a PGA Tour card out of this. And the thought never even crossed my mind all week. And I went out and shot 67. I ended up finishing 7th, I think, overall. But standing on that 17th tee, the island green, I had Ernie Lopez caddying for me. And I just remember looking at Elo, and I'm like, if you ever had a joke, now's your time. Like, please give me
something.
Do something. Don't let me just stand here.
And holes like that are awesome, but when you're playing for your livelihood and knowing, okay, I'm pretty comfortable right now, but if I somehow soup 3 balls right here, it's all going to come crashing down.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I had that story that year at Q School because I'd never been successful getting all the way to the PGA Tour through Q School. I think I went 3 times. But this time in 2011, the first hole on the Nicklaus course, the tee shot, I just did not like it. It did not suit my eye. And I woke up every 30 minutes the night before that final round. I was like 2 shots inside the number thinking of that first tee shot. And I'm like, what is going – this brain is powerful, man. All of ours – I mean, I thought Joel on our pod talking about his Saturday night before going out and shooting 64 at RSM at Sea Island to keep his card, where he woke up and started looking at ShotLink and everything and seeing where he needed to be on the FedEx Cup, how many points he needed to earn to get his card in the middle of the night when you're getting ready for one of the most important rounds of your life.
So one thing you always seem to do when you were out on tour was have dinner with other players, reps, and possibly find some nightlife afterwards. I say that in a positive way, and that I think that the camaraderie on the PGA Tour has dwindled completely, and it's a very lonely place of hotel rooms and DoorDash. All jokes aside, how do those nights help your mindset while being out on the road for weeks at a time?
Yeah, it's a lonely spot, right? I mean, as you know, the hotel room, I talked to Padraig Harrington about this. The hotel room is a very dangerous place. Like, just being in there by yourself, alone with your thoughts, just you and TV, laying in bed. Like, everyone sees the PGA Tour as just this, and just all professional sports is just incredibly glamorous lifestyle. And it is for a lot of people, but it's also not for a lot of people. Not everybody's flying around private, staying at the Ritz, eating fancy dinners, but you get out there, you get lonely. And the way I treated it is, like, I always had a high school team, had a college team. Then all of a sudden you're out there and you're like, oh, I'm by myself. Like, I'm my boss now. And so I always wanted to be around people. I've always felt that way. It didn't matter who it was. I would talk to a stranger, eat dinner with a stranger. I didn't care. But I always wanted just to be around people and just get my mind away from the grind of golf. Like, it can beat you up out there, especially when you're not playing well. So I always just wanted to be out and about, like, not doing anything crazy. Like, I played hungover twice in my 8 years on the PGA Tour, and one of them was a total accident. The other one was on purpose because I played so bad on Thursday. But yeah, it's just it can get lonely out there. I mean, especially, like, I'm married, I don't have kids, but being a young guy out there where your kids are young or your kids are going to school and you're out there away from your family, where that's your support system, it's not easy. Now, it's what I dreamed for my whole life, so I'm not going to complain about it. Yeah. But it's tough, man. You play 5-6 weeks in a row. You're out there, hotel every week, a lot of, like you said, room service. Yep. You go to the wrong hotel at night. You go to the last week's room number because you get all confused. For sure. But yeah, man, I've always been big on just having a bunch of people around me at all times, whether it's going to dinner, going out. Like I said, Tuesday was one of my favorite days of the week. I just loved walking up and down the range, talking trash, and then getting the game going.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's it's kind of a lost art out on the PGA Tour now, and I keep hearing these stories about how there's 24, 25, 26-year-old kids that are out on the PGA Tour. They're making millions of dollars, and they hate it. They're miserable. And, I wish the tour would do a better job of getting these guys ready for what they're about to face instead of just like, hey, man, we got a brand new prize pony here. We're going to march him out there and, hope he plays good golf. But at the same time, like, these are 23, 24-year-old kids. Some of them are, Dunlap, Nick Dunlap's what, 20 years old. Maybe he's ready for this, maybe he's not, but I mean, he got pushed into the limelight now and he's won twice already. It's like, there's a lot going on out there that, a 20-year-old kid's probably not ready for. So I know you got to get running here shortly. We're going to hit you with a quick 6-pack of questions, and then we'll let you go. Number one, if I made you a producer for the next The Match, but we're going to air it on HBO, you get 4 teams of 2 competing against one another. Which trash-talking, big gambling characters would you bring in to fill the field? You can go golfers or celebrities.
Well, I think Kiz will be involved.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what he's going to do at NBC. Barkley is the best.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin is going to be involved. He is hilarious. I don't know. They didn't promote this last celebrity match very well that was down there in Florida that Wayne Gretzky won, but Blake Griffin stole the show, as did Nate Bargatze, who is funny. Probably bring Pat Perez in a little bit. He's hilarious, and it's on HBO. You can say whatever you want.
I love Perez.
I think Bryson's going to have to be involved with what he's doing now. He's going. People, what he's doing in the content game is fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
MJ's been my number one forever, and nobody talks better trash than him. I have no idea how many people that is so far, but
you're close enough.
I'd say just because I love having fun with him and I get to work with him every week out on CBS, Frank Nobilo is going to be involved somehow. He might be just like carrying my drink or something, but he is definitely involved because I love Frank.
I had a question here that I was going to say that I love the back and forth you and Nobilo get going here. It's awesome. And
you know what's funny is some people think we don't like each other.
Oh no, I see the opposite.
Hilarious to me.
Yeah, I just love how you guys have to jab each other going into commercial breaks all the time or something along those lines. It's awesome.
We've had some of our bosses be like, "Hey, are y'all okay?" And we're like, "Dude, we're just trying to make it fun."
Yep. No, he's one of the best guys out there. I think he's one of the most underrated guys in golf coverage, and he's so good at what he does. But it's nice to see you guys open each other up a little bit here and cut loose.
Funny story about that 3-putt at Sawgrass, though. Obviously on 18, lip it out, get scoring, turn phone on, first text, the Seagull, Charlie Hoffman. Nice 3-putt.
And for those of us that know Charlie at all, not surprised in the least.
Not at all.
By the way, I'll let you do this one. Give me the background on the nickname Seagull, because this is the best nickname in golf, and I'll let you do it justice since you're one of his good friends.
So I didn't make it up. I will say that. He claims the original Seagulls were John Mallinger and Bill Lundy, who played on tour for a long time. But the whole thing is Seagulls fly around and shit on everybody, and that's what Charlie does. He is just
so good.
For everyone that knows him very well, knows he can be a Seagull. And it's the most perfect nickname of anyone I've ever come across.
Yes, 100%. As soon as I heard that, I laughed out loud because I'm like, that's perfect for Charlie. Well, before we let you go, I want to hit you with our 6-pack of questions. It's just 6 easy, fun questions to let that personality of yours shine even more.
Is it because I have a 6-pack is why you're calling it a 6-pack?
If I called it that, it would be the party ball of questions. You and I spent too many days at the Atlantic Beach bar to know that that there's no 6. You might have abs, but they're hidden right now.
Yeah, they are hidden.
All right, so the first one, I'm going to make you the general manager for a football team in a new league that I just created. It's a 4-on-4 football, and you get your choice of current players. But I need a quarterback, a running back, and 2 wide receivers. And then on defense, I need 2 secondary guys and either 2 linebackers or edge rushers. So pick me your all-star teams.
All right. Well, you're gonna have 2 edge rushers. Who's gonna block them in this 4-on-4 league with 2 receivers and a running back?
See, I don't
need
let
these guys run free and hit the quarterback in the face, or it's just a fantasy. They're not actually gonna play each other.
There we go. Thank you. I'm just trying to come up with a way here, and of course, I had to ask the NFL coach who's going to pick the question apart.
I'm just going to tell you, it's a shitty league. Quarterback's going to get killed. All right, my quarterback would be obviously Patrick Mahomes. He's the best in the world. Now, if I had to have a scrambler, I'd probably take Josh Allen second. Lamar's a close third, and Jaden Daniels is really a close fourth. This guy's a monster. Joe Burrow's up there. But anyway, what's his name? Patrick Mahomes is by far the best. Top 2 receivers would be Tyreek Hill for his speed, playmaking ability. Another one would be Justin Jefferson because of his size, athleticism, and ability to go anywhere on the field. My running back would probably be – I'd probably go with the king. I like just the King Henry. I like the way he walks out of the tunnel. You see him walk into the tunnel the other day with his tank top on? He's the first guy off the bus.
Yes.
He's the first guy off the bus. So there you have it. There's my offense. My 2 edge rushers would be probably Myles Garrett, obviously, and TJ Watt.
Okay.
Be my top 2. Obviously, the guy that just blew his leg out, the tibia, the kid for the Lions. He's really good, too. Hutchinson, and my guy for the Raiders is really good. But I got to go Watt and Garrett. And then you got 2 corners. Patrick Surtain Jr. is definitely number 1. Size, length, toughness. He's a bad son of a gun.
Yep.
And I'd probably go on the other side. I'd probably go – there's a lot of really good ones, really, really good ones. I'd probably go Sauce because he's 6'1" and can run, But there's a lot of other really good ones that I like. But that'd probably be my group off the top of my head.
I think you picked exactly all 8 players that I would have picked. Tyreek Hill was the one I wasn't sure about, but like you said, speed. As far as speed's concerned, there's nobody better. Good team for sure. And yes, I know it's a shitty league, and we won't be playing anytime soon. But you got the point eventually.
You might want to put a blocker in front of T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett just for your league's sake.
Yeah, the 2 edge rushers with no line is going to be a little tough on Mahomes. So I guess that's why we'll give you a backup quarterback or a scrambler.
Well, it's going to be tough if we just line up in a shotgun and throw a screen to Tyreek Hill. It's going to be tough for those 2 corners to make a tackle with King Henry blocking out in front.
Good point. Well, he's big enough. He might be able to take 2 of them out.
Yeah.
All right, so number 2, which one do you regret more? Getting into a Twitter war with RG3 or letting that ground ball go through your legs when you were 9 years old playing second base for the West Side Lions to screw up your brother's solid pitching day?
Ground ball through the legs. Yeah, that was a tough day. And I had to get in the car with him after the game. Man, that was a nightmare. It was a terrible feeling. I was second baseman, actually, and 9 years old playing a 9 through 12. I was still one of the best players at 9 years old. That's hard to do on a 9 through 12-year-old team. But my brother was the best by far, and he was a really good pitcher, good shortstop, good hitter. Played through through high school. But yeah, that was a tough deal, man. It was like a high bouncer, and I was up on it, and then it hit like one little pebble and just went shot underneath my legs. Jesus, yeah, that was tough.
I'll tell you,
Twitter war. The Twitter war was actually fun.
Oh, I bet it was for you, as much as you like jabbing people.
I stopped. I could have kept going, but my brother kind of got mad at me. My brother's like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" I go, "Well, he started it." Shit.
You sound like a 9-year-old again.
Golly, not my fault he didn't, succeed in the National Football League. He's blaming me.
I'll tell you the same thing I told your brother. The fact that I can't remember what I had for dinner 3 nights ago, and the detail you guys put into that story was shocking to me. 12-year-old, John and 9-year-old Jay just remember it like it was yesterday. But it's nice to see it still wearing on you. It's definitely wearing on him.
It is, and I can't remember anything either, but I remember tragic events like that. I mean, that was brutal. That was a terrible day for me. Little young Jay in his room, balled up in a fetal position crying while John's outside the door yelling at him, calling him pumpkinhead and loser. And I mean, that's really, really great for a 9-year-old kid. But I did bounce back, Steve, because I'm a tough son of a gun. I think that's part of why I see all these other guys. That was a tough day. That was a tough day. In fact, I'm going to go cry right now.
That question went so much better than I thought it would. I was afraid I was going to throw that out there and you wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about. Well, Jay, you survived, bud. I appreciate it. Good having you on here on the Uncomfortable Chat, and I look forward to seeing you up at AB sometime here soon. And safe travels back to DC and getting yourself back down here. We'll get together here soon. But thanks for letting the people know a little bit more about you.
Well, definitely. I did some investments with you, so hopefully you're okay. I mean, my God, it's scaring the shit out of me.
What do you think paid for all that rehab?
You son of a gun. All right, I'll see you. Keep in touch, brother.
Yep, be good, man. Take care of yourself. Well, we have a lot of junior golfers that listen to the pod, and we like to give them some little nuggets of advice that they might be able to take with them to the golf course. If it's all right with you, I'm just going to share my screen here so that I can get your feedback on the technique required to hit this golf shot.
Then I had to make a decision. I was thinking, talking to my caddy, I was thinking, what would Tiger do? What would Justin Thomas do? Tiger would probably hit the stinger. JT would probably go with the trap draw. I decided to go with the skull, and that's a shot of mine. I pull it off routinely, and I I sculpted the hell out of it. And 2 chips later, 20 feet for 20 feet, and it's good. What can I tell you? I mean, they gave it to me because I was out of the hole, but it all felt the same. It was a great feeling, and doing something that Tiger and Jack have never done. First flight or fifth flight of the member guest. They've never done that, and I've got a chance to do it.
Yeah. So again, we'll go back to the juniors that are always trying to find new golf shots. You got some big shoes to step into here. We have Annika Sorenstam on here. She was helping give some advice. We had Bob Rotella, famous sports psychologist. What do you got for us on that video?
You basically have to shoot your shot. We all can't sort of swing it like Tiger or swing it like Brooks Koepka. And it's fine to emulate that, and it's a great dream to have. But you basically, it's where you deliver the club. It's when the club face meets the ball. And oftentimes, when I can put the leading edge right in the middle of the ball and skull it, I can really use that shot to my advantage. And I really like to do that. The occasional when I've got the occasional angle that I can take and use a really good shank to advance the ball, I like to do that. Some people don't understand it, but it really doesn't matter. People didn't understand Isao Aoki's putting stroke. They didn't get it. Mm-hmm. But look what he did with that. And so I've taken the skull blank and the shank and used it to my advantage. It's just what I do.
Sometimes the shank plays. I mean, sometimes if you're trying to get to a tuck pin and you shank it to the other side of the green, now all of a sudden you got green to play with.
Exactly. You're just advancing the ball and putting yourself in position for the next shot. And you have to look at it that way. I mean, golf is a mental game. And yes, the fact that other people don't understand it doesn't diminish your genius.
Yeah, your positivity with this just astounds me. And I love how positive you are with this shot. I think that there aren't enough instructors teaching these shots. So I'm really glad we could pull you in today to help broaden some of these kids and open their world to new parts of the game that they might not have seen otherwise.
Well, most of the instructors they're dealing with different variables. They're trying to sell something. And, if I'm trying to get more distance, I'm not looking at equipment. I'm not looking at, the latest shaft or all this stuff. I'm looking at where's the cart path. Mm-hmm. If you've got a cart path that's going in the direction you want the ball to go, why not use that as to gain distance? I mean, it's only a golf ball. You're probably going to lose it anyway. Who cares if it gets scuffed up a little bit? Go for the distance that way.
Why pay $600 for a driver when there's a free cart path sitting out there?
Right. How many golf balls is that? That's
right.
Not a problem. Yeah. So use the cart path. It's economical. I mean, it's just everybody wins.
Yeah. Some people think the ponds are there for hazards. I think they're there just to give people golf balls. So again, you don't need to, if you're going to bang them off cart pads anyway, you don't need to go buy the new Pro Vs.
No. That's why range balls were invented.
Yeah, exactly. How many of them can you actually steal without getting caught? It's a great game.
It's not theft. You're borrowing it. It remains on the property.
It's a good point. Well, thanks for that tidbit. So after college, you headed overseas to play professionally in Spain and Italy for 3 years, then decided to come home and be part of Coach K's staff while getting your law degree. You coached for 3 years from 1990 to 92, and the team went to 3 Final Fours and won 2 NCAA championships. My question to you is, was Coach K actually overrated in simply trying to steal your thunder as a coach?
Yes. And you're very intelligent, I think, to catch that, because I was there 3 years. We played in the NCAA championship game every year.
Yeah.
And, the program, when I decided to leave, the program really went in the toilet. And so, I don't think I get the credit I deserve for being the graduate assistant that really catapulted Duke to the next level. But I really enjoyed the 3 years. I mean, the players were unbelievable that we had. Grant Hill, Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, Thomas Hill, Cherokee Parks. It was a joke how talented those guys were. And the coaching staff back then, was Tommy Amaker, Mike Bray, Pete Gaudette, and myself. And I remember watching, kind of pre-practice, standing with Mike Bray and Tommy Amaker And we'd be going, my God, like, look at how much money there is out there. Like, these guys are going to make so much money in this game. And they did. The number of pros and just all-time greats out there, it was kind of absurd, the talent. And, when it was so interesting, like when you told them what to do, they could do it. It wasn't like you had to teach them how to do it. They could do it. And Coach K just orchestrated everything, but it was a joy to be able to watch them every day.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's a handful of teams that will go down in lore as teams that you can name the starting five on, whether it was UNLV's teams or the Fab Five or Duke's 91, 92 teams. Definitely fall into that category as well. They're just so much talent at every position, and I guess that's how you get to 3 national championship games in 3 years. One of your segments is titled 94 Feet, where you walk the court with one of the student athletes or coaches or celebrities, firing off a bunch of questions to them. Well, since you and I can't take a stroll together, I'm going to introduce you to my segment that we're going to call 94 Seconds. Rapid fire questions, and I even got a timer for you. You tell me when you're ready to dance.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All righty. Favorite food while playing pro ball in Italy or Spain?
Risotto. I got to eat for free over there because the team I played for, the teams, owned restaurants. And so I ate at a chef's table every night, and risotto was by far my favorite.
There you go. Stuck on an island, you get one rapper to listen to the rest of your life. Who is it?
Jeezy.
Lowest round you've ever shot on the golf course?
73.
Do you plan on coming back to play with the Mavericks and Luka since they still own your rights?
Well, I don't know that they still do, but they did for you. I was never cut. I was never actually cut. And I tried to get them to waive me about 15 years ago. And I'd come up on the waiver wire as the Mavericks waived Jay Billis. And my friends would be going, what, you idiot? Are you still trying to play? You couldn't play when you could play. I thought that would have been fun.
Favorite golf course you played?
Pine Valley Golf Club, without question.
Is it true you hit a 2-iron off the tee for 2 full years?
Longer than that. When I first started playing, I hit a 2-iron off the tee for about 10 years. And I think I stopped doing it when a former teammate of mine, Danny Ferry, we were standing on a tee box and he said, let me see that thing. And then he hurled it into the woods and said, surrender to the driver now. And then I did.
Fair enough. Most underrated college basketball coach?
Underrated college basketball coach. I still think it's Nate Oates at Alabama. He's still underrated.
Okay. What is I got to add one more in for you here.
Add one more. We'll go 90, 99.
There you go, because I can't leave the kids out of it. What is your favorite drawing of your daughters?
She did a drawing of all the basketball shoes I ever wore because I'm a sneakerhead. And so she went back to when I was a 4th grader and she put like 16 pairs of shoes up, like Converse Chucks, Pro Keds that I wore when I was a kid, Pony. People remember Pony.
Oh, yeah.
I wore those in high school, and Converse, Nike, Puma, you name it. I had everything back in the day. I still do.
And last one, have you finally forgiven your son for failing to acknowledge you on your 94 feet interview?
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't have a son.
Well played, sir. Well played. I hate to ask guests for a story, but if you got a good Rafferty story, I'd love to hear one because the guy's just an absolute legend.
I got plenty of them. One of the best was we did a game at Notre Dame, and it was me, McDonough, and Raft, and then we had a game 2 days later in Milwaukee, Marquette game. So we thought, all right, after the Notre Dame game, instead of shooting to the airport and taking a short flight, we'll just drive. It's an easy drive. So we had 3 rental cars. So we're like, all right, we'll take 2 of them back to the airport. We'll all jump in the biggest one. We'll go. Well, I had the biggest rental car. And so we're about to head back, and Raft can't find his rental car. So he's walking the entire length of the parking deck on 2 levels, hitting the little key fob. And he looked like, your younger listeners won't remember this, but he was Mr. Magoo. Yeah. And it was ridiculous. And finally, McDonough said, Raft, where did you have dinner and drinks on Friday night? And he goes, oh, my God. Oh, it's at Parisi's. So we drive to a restaurant. His car had been snowed over. He left it there for like 2 days, 3 days, and forgot that he left his car there. And so we had to clean it off and take it back. And so the next night, we're doing the Marquette game. And we come on the air, and McDonough says, "Welcome everybody to Milwaukee for the Marquette versus so and so. I'm Sean McDonough, along with Jay Billis and the star of Dude, Where's My Car, Bill Raftery." 3 people on the planet got the joke, but it was like we couldn't even speak after he said that. I guess he was holding that to say it on the air. It was fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome! What a good story. Coach Knight would often come out and hit golf balls with us, and. Funny story. So we had practice the one afternoon. We finished up around 4:00. Most of the team left, and I was up on the putting green getting some practice in. And there was 2 guys down below me on the range hitting balls, and it was Coach Knight, and then right in front of him was a senior we had, and his name is Will Carson. And Will's about 5'6", weighs about 140 pounds. And Coach Knight, as you'd well know, is about 6'5", and I'll say that on the low end, and 275. He's just a monstrous human being. I couldn't get over how big the guy was. And he's standing right behind Will, and they both have drivers in their hand. And, Will's just doing his own thing, working on his drivers. And Coach Knight's standing there, and he finally got a hold of one. And I'm just watching this whole thing happen. And he catches a driver, and he's watching it, borderline club twirl. And then he stands there, and he watches Will hit one. And Will kind of one-hands it, hits it terribly, heels it, flies Coach Knight's by 40 yards. Coach Knight's like frustrated. You can see him like banging his head a little bit. Okay, gets in there and hits a couple more, and then all of a sudden he catches one. You could tell he just smoked it. Can't hit it any harder. Just a little high baby cut and goes out there, and he's all excited. He's proud of himself. And then Will hits one. He kind of hits it and then looks back down for the next ball already, and the thing flies Coach Knight's by 50 yards. And I can see what's about to happen. And Coach Knight takes his driver, picks it up, he slams it off the ground, and Will turns around and has no idea what's going on. He's like, "You son of a bitch, you're fucking 5 feet 6 inches tall, you weigh 140 pounds, and you're one-handing them by me." And just to watch him explode was hilarious. And nobody else in the world got to see that except for me, but to sit there and watch it build for about 3 or 4 minutes was unbelievable. So before we let you go, we're going to hit you with the 6-pack of questions to finish up here. So number 1, so I've been lucky enough to play Pebble Beach probably 60 or 70 times, and I always tell people, if you don't believe in God, go play 18 holes at Pebble Beach and drive around 17-mile drive. Is there a basketball arena that has a similar mystique to it?
Yes, Allen Fieldhouse at Kansas. I have said this on the air many times. It's the equivalent of St. Andrews to a golfer. That the history of it, you can feel it when you walk into the building. It's just different. And I played in Cameron Indoor Stadium, and it almost pains me to say that Allen Fieldhouse is just as good, if not better. But if I had one place that you have to go, because James Naismith was the first coach there, the guy that invented the game. Adolph Rupp played there. Dean Smith played there. Wilt Chamberlain played there. You name it. You can feel the history of it, and it's still very much the same now as it was back in the day. And all the history and tradition of what they do with the Rock Chalk Jayhawk stuff, it's a bucket list, do not miss place for any sports fan, let alone college basketball fan.
It's a great answer, and an even better segue to the last part here, because I've got a 10-year-old son that is a good baseball pitcher, and when he gets out on the mound, every time he would show emotion, he would pitch poorly. And when he goes out there and he's borderline robotic, he's a great pitcher. And I tell him, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Come on, bud, it's time to go to work. Take the emotion out of it. And he gets out there, and it's like, to your point and Coach K's point, next play. And so on your way out here, any chance we can get a got to go to work statement from you?
Gotta go to, you mean a lyric?
Yeah.
My favorite one is summer's mine, winter too, popping bottles in the club. That's what winners do. I got to go to work.
Oh, God, what a perfect way to end it.